by Celsius Energy Drinks.
The Los Angeles Angels hit 3 homers and scored 6 runs in the top of the first inning off of Red Sox starter Richard Fitz last night. And although they made the game close later, his team never truly caught up in a 7-6 loss at Fenway Park. Joe Adell hit 2 homers on the night, one of which gave the visitors a key insurance run in the top of the 8th. Newly healthy Romy Gonzalez drove in a pair of runs for the Sox. This 3-game series will continue tonight. Patriots went through another OTA yesterday in Foxborough, and the week after a controversial video of him on a boat was posted online, Stefon Diggs was out there in a limited capacity. Other than a quick hello on his way onto the field, he didn't speak to the media at all. He's missed some time with his new team this spring, but offensive coordinator Josh McDaniels isn't too thrown off by this.
I know he's staying up on the information and the material, and there's so many things and opportunities for us to teach all our guys going forward between the rest of the practices here in the spring and then going into the summer and the many days we have before we actually kick the ball off in September. So I'm not concerned about Steph in that regard.
The NFL Network is reporting the Patriots had no plans to cut Diggs, Kendrick Bourne, and Carlton Davis among those missing yesterday, and Jelani Tavai didn't finish practice after suffering what appeared to be a bad left leg injury. In Detroit, Pro Bowl center Frank Ragnow announced his retirement yesterday at the age of 29, saying it was time to prioritize his health. And Celtics assistant GM Austin Ames left the franchise yesterday to join his father Danny in Utah. He is the Jazz new president of basketball operations. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Catches Law. At Catches, they specialize in helping those who have been injured not only from a one-time incident, but from a lifetime of hard work and labor. Does this sound like you? Visit catcheslaw.com. I'm John Wallach at Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 6:30.
New England plays here.
Down the right side, it's a separation. Yeah, touchdown pass. Yes. Perfect dive from Drake May.
98.5 The Sports Hub.
Ladies and gentlemen, I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
Toucher
When has that been necessary to fact check?
and Hardy
I am not known as Mr. Fun.
on 98.5.
Hey there.
Sarge GPT booting up.
Let me hear you say, boo, boo, boo.
Crush me, mommy.
Say my name.
I'm a robot.
I'm the son of the Pope.
I'm a goddamn drag!
Yeah, good luck, dude.
That's like a good tushy.
I love you. And I think you know that.
Excuse me?
Toucher and Hardy
Watch Daddy and Uncle Freddie.
Knocking back some fat and having some fun.
on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Let's go.
Drink milk. If you drink anything else, you're an idiot. Like, why don't you just say, like, I stopped drinking milk? You know what I'm saying? Like, just I stopped drinking milk.
Right, it works for me. You could just say that. Say
Or,
this is
or
what I'm
not
doing,
even
it works
just
for me.
But just this is what I did. Like, I lost 50 pounds, but I can't sit here and tell you. I would never sit here and go, all right. Well, I could go, here's what I did, da 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 da. But then I wouldn't go like,
You need to do the same thing I did.
Like I stopped. Like this isn't true necessarily, but just say I can't because I can't think of anything off the top of my head. But I said, I stopped eating breakfast. I stopped eating breakfast. Breakfast will kill you. Like that's like essentially like what like I'm so wise about what's going on.
Well, it comes from a place of insecurity in a lot of cases. I'm not saying that's the case about Dan. I don't know Dan. But like it usually comes from a place of insecurity and a need for validation. I need to share that I did this thing, but I also need you to do it and tell me how good it is because I don't have enough confidence in myself about doing it.
But that's not even kind of what I'm saying. I understand what you're saying, but I'm saying the need to say it's the only right way. You know what I'm saying? Like, and not only that, but to do the opposite is to take place in a broader conspiracy.
Right. and 12, I don't know that it necessarily has to be born out of like an insecurity. Sometimes you just want to share the good news and a capital G. You know what I'm
Sure,
saying,
yes,
friend?
yeah.
Good news.
Yeah, I do.
It's coming
Yes.
soon type of good news.
Yes.
And I was
Good
look,
news.
I've been guilty of it with the HHLS, for years. I was telling anyone who would listen about the Hearty Healthy Lifestyle System and just the things that I'd figured out about my life and my body and the things that were not only working for me, but I wanted to share that good news with other people. And I think I changed lives.
Of course.
More probably than I know about.
Not just change.
You tell.
Not just
And then
change.
there's people that they tell.
No.
And next thing you know, everybody's doing the jumping jacks.
No.
You know, and
Calisthenics, the Barney Rubble. One and
part of
two
it.
and three
That's
and
right.
4 and 1 and do you remember that?
Yes, I do.
When Fred slept over.
Yeah.
And Barney had before he went to bed, he did calisthenics.
Hardy, not just change, inspire.
yeah.
Inspire.
Yeah, you just want to share.
Paid forward, you know?
Right.
Paid forward.
Right.
That's
I'm
what you
doing.
do.
That's what I like to do.
Yeah, absolutely. So here we are. It's face to face.
What?
A couple of silver spoons.
Okay. All right.
Where Jason Bateman would play the Eddie Haskell role on, and he would hit on the woman from Battlestar Galactica quite often. What was her name? Erin Gray.
Oh, yeah.
Erin Gray.
Yeah.
Who at the time I didn't appreciate her beauty. I was very young when Silver Spoons was on. I was probably 7 to 8 years younger than the title characters, including Jason Bateman, and then the friend who wore the cowboy hat. He was the Texas oil money kid. But I never realized how attractive that woman was, which it has been happening as I get older, as I revisit things, because I remember being confused in Youngblood about Youngblood's interest in the woman that he was dating, and then as I saw it as an adult, I went, "Oh, that woman's very attractive." There's, the hotel, you know, that when you mentioned that show, like you forget how, but the Scarecrow was it Scarecrow and Mrs. King? No, not Scarecrow and Mrs. King. What was the other? Heart to Heart.
Yes.
Like the woman from Heart to Heart.
Stephanie Powers.
Yeah, I didn't
Big
appreciate
ups.
that at all.
Yeah.
I didn't appreciate that at all.
Scarecrow and Mrs. King. I don't think I've heard those words uttered together
Kate Jackson.
in 30 years.
I don't know if I've ever seen an episode of Scarecrow and Mrs. King. It was just something that came on at 10 o'clock after shows I was watching.
Yeah. No, Stephanie Powers. That was one for me when I was a kid.
So there
Is that Heart to Heart? Or is
Yes, that's Heart to Heart.
Yeah, she was really good looking.
Yep.
Yeah.
There are those, and then there are the ones that I've never understood. And it's just Exhibit A, Susan Sarandon, who is supposed to be like a sex symbol of some kind, from Bull Durham to even Thelma and Louise, which I've never seen. And I don't get it. And at what point was it Rocky Horror that she was in, where she first maybe got like this whole like, you know, sexy star moniker put on her?
Yeah, and she was older, remember? She just got a really good body.
Okay.
It's, but no, I agree with you. I don't think she's a classic beauty, certainly.
Now, let me tell you something else on the total flip side of this. A movie I was watching the other day, and I didn't quite understand the love interest and the attractiveness going on, but I kind of I kind of caught it and understood it for the first time in the movie Back to School. I never thought how Valerie could get with Jason Mellon, even at the end, even after she saw him dive. But I was watching it, and when Jason Mellon gets up on that platform, Fred, I think it was the 10-meter, he's got a good body, and I understand through the magic of filmmaking, they can change the lighting, change the dress a little bit, get him looking a little bit better, but I wouldn't give him a second look throughout all of Christine. But by the end of Back to School, he's a good-looking young man.
He's an awful actor. Like, he comes off petulant, and that's one of those characters that's very unlikable. You know, he's supposed to be the everyman. He's supposed to be the character that we, the people, relate to. But all his father is really trying to do is become a part of his life and improve his college experience, and he doesn't like it. He just wants to be a normal college kid.
All right, so Keith Gordon, who the only two movies I can name off the top of my head were Christine and Back to School. There's one more that I think we probably both saw it because it was on cable a lot. In 1985, had a soundtrack that we heard songs from, and the star of the movie was Helen Slater.
I'm going to just take a wild shot in the dark. Is The Legend of Billie Jean?
Very,
Wow,
very
that's
good,
impressive,
Fred.
That's pretty damn good. I wouldn't have gotten that.
I don't remember him in
good.
it, and I don't even remember I don't even know the actress's name. Just when he said 1985 and it was on all the time, judging by his age, I'm saying the Legend of Billie Jean.
That was quite the poll, my friend.
In the woman that plays Bart Simpson,
Yes.
she has her period in that for the first time, right?
Oh my God!
I only saw it a time or two. I don't remember the
Yeah.
menstruation scene.
I think that's
Nancy
well,
Cartwright? Is she in that movie?
Oh no.
Lisa Simpson.
Yeardley Smith.
Oh, Yeardley Smith.
Yeardley Smith. Yeardley Smith that plays whom?
Putter.
Okay.
No. In The Simpsons.
Oh, Lisa.
Lisa.
Okay, so she's the voice of Lisa. Wow. In fact, the only thing I remember from The Legend of Billie Jean is her having her period, and I remember where I saw it. My friend Jonathan Howler's house. We were just watching TV at his house, which is something that we did. This is something that probably never happens anymore. I used to go over to John's house and watch TV. I used to go over and we'd like lay on his rug and watch TV together during the day. We'd watch Saved by the Bell, and I mean I was like in middle school, and Legend of Billie Jean was on all the time, and all I remember is her having her period. Periods were very traumatic to me at that time. As I've shared this story several times, I had a collection of Judy Blume books, and I had read them all until I got to Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. And because it had like a very florally feminine cover, so I didn't want to read it because I'm all man. And then I was reading it. It got to where she had her period, and I ran into the room my mother slept in, which was not the same room as my father. And I ran into that room, and I started excitedly and panickingly asking when my period was going to happen.
How old were you?
How'd that conversation go? The answer to that.
Like probably 10 or 11. Huh?
How'd your mom handle that?
Not bad. You know what? I'll give my mom credit. She wasn't terrible about that stuff. There was the Nugget magazine story.
Right.
I had a tree house in our backyard. Our backyard had about I would say like a 50-foot by 50-foot woods. Let's call it woods. It was, just like a small woods. And we put a little tree house in there. And I had a friend come over with porn magazines. This is another relic of the 80s. And he came over with porn magazines, and there was a Nugget magazine. Now, it's funny because the last time I mentioned this, Jim Murray heard it and went on Felger and Maz and talked about the horrors of Nugget magazine. I mean, amputees, like all kinds of crazy stuff.
How did Felger take that?
I don't remember. I
would love the audio of that.
I just like that. I really do like that no matter where you're from, like collectively, we had, like, people just had the same things as a kid. Like, when the first time I went on the air and I said I found porn in the woods, like I had no idea that other people found porn in the woods or that it was even like a trope.
Oh yeah,
who knew that was going on everywhere? I grew up in
every
suburban
suburb
Detroit.
of every city.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
Oh sure,
like, there was porn in the woods.
Yep.
And so there's this Nugget magazine. I won't get into graphic detail about what it was because I can't on the radio, but it was something that was like a literal, I'll say this, it was like a literal, it looked like a literal interpretation of the way an act is described. I can tell you off the air, I can't say it on air because of the FCC, and it's 6, and I don't feel like, people probably don't want to hear it. But I assumed cannibalism was going on, I'll say that, and I ran into my mom, and I was freaking out, and my mom did not get upset that I had seen porn, but she said that that's not how people really have sex. Like you're watching, it's not real. Like that's not real. And so I remember that.
I do.
Yeah, exactly. I remember that satisfying me. But yeah, Nugget was too dirty for me. Nugget and Hustler, I didn't like it. I didn't like that. I still don't like that. I still can't really. I'm a free speech advocate, and there are some times where I'm like, I understand why they tried to ban Hustler. Like, I get it. I kind of understand why they tried to.
You watch The People versus Larry Flint, and you're like, yeah, go Larry, and then you actually pick up a copy of Hustler from that era and say, oh.
Yeah, there was a cartoon called Chester the Molester where the joke was the same thing every time.
Yeah.
Was that he was a child molester, and he would become excited around children. That was the whole thing. visibly excited around children. You think, well, I don't know if this is in the best interest of society. But these are the taboos that we have to live with in order to live in a free society. But I had a friend who liked Hustler. And he's a normal guy, too, from the outside. But he loved Hustler. Even when we were in our 20s, he had Hustlers.
Well, it's a well-produced magazine. I mean, it was a heavy stock that they used for the
glossy
paper.
pages.
Yeah, it was beautiful, beautifully done.
Al Goldstein, I one up you.
Yeah.
Al Goldstein, you were putting screw out on raggedy newsprint. I was using beautiful, beautiful 30 stock paper.
I think I had asked you before. Did you purchased magazines?
I've never purchased a porn magazine in my life.
You've never subscribed to one?
No.
Okay. I subscribed to Playboy for 1 year.
I might have. You know what? No, I don't think I did. But there's a small chance in my 20s I subscribed to Playboy, but I don't think I did.
What year was it, Hardy? That's important. I'd love to know what year.
The girl that I was dating at the time suggested it to me. Said that would be like cool.
You get your hi-fi system in check.
She would like to look at it along with me.
Ooh.
And I said, okay, now we're on to something. I'm going to say it was 97, 98.
Oh, so late 90s. Okay.
Yeah, late 90s. And then it shows up, so you sign up for Playboy for a year, and it was probably $10, $15, and then you get the renewal bill, and it was like $50. And I'm like, I don't have $50. I can't do this anymore. Plus, it feels a little weird taking it out of the mailbox. Like, oh, my Playboy is here. It's 10 a.m. on a Tuesday. I'll take my Playboy back to the house or back to my apartment.
Yeah, my friend who's the same friend with the Hustlers. When we lived in Atlanta, I lived with him, and I had him go in. I was too chicken to go into Borders and buy the Anna Nicole Smith Playboy, so I had him do it.
Yeah,
he didn't care. He was like, "Yeah, I'll go buy it. I don't care." And looking back, Playboy was such a nothing magazine.
It's pretty tame.
But at the airport, they used to sell Hustler. At the Orlando airport, I can tell you for a fact they sold Hustler because my friend got drunk. Same one I watched TV with. Got drunk one time, bought a Hustler, and was on the plane displaying it to everyone.
There you go.
Hammered. Just going, look at this. Ah. Yeah.
Well, the last one that I bought was one that I knew a couple of people in whatever the feature was, because it was the girls of the Hard Rock. And that was when we were in Las Vegas, and there was a girl that was a cocktailer there that we were friends with, and they asked her to pose in it. And then one other friend of mine who was in a local band, they asked him, because again, we were like part of the same friend group. It's like, oh, will you be one of the side models in this thing? And it was like something on stage, and he was supposed to be a stagehand or something. So I was like, oh, cool. Look, a couple of friends of ours were in Playboy, but this girl was so hot, and my boss, I guess he was like the assistant program director. He was another DJ on the station too. She came in, and we were talking about this issue that had just come out with these people from the local music scene that were in this copy of Playboy, did an interview, and they started like hanging out, and she wanted desperately to like hook up with my buddy Ripley, and she would call him like at 3-4 o'clock in the morning when she was getting off work and want him to like drive over to her apartment. And to my knowledge, he never did. And I was like, dude, what are you not thinking?
There was nothing better than if you knew someone in Playboy. Crash and I had the same physical trainer, and Crash figured out that she was in Playboy when she was in college. Not as the full centerfold, but it was like girls of some college.
Girls of the Big Ten
or something like that. And she was in it. And then
that was a good issue.
And Crash got his hands on that magazine. It was probably like 8 years old at the time, but Crash just went out on a mission and found that magazine. And that was exciting. Yeah, if you see someone naked that was good looking,
and then would see them out like 2 nights later, just hanging out at the at Big Dogs and playing video poker. Like, hey,
Yeah. When I was at 99X, they had a it was girls of Hooters or girls of Home Depot. I think it might have been girls of Home Depot. And I'm dead serious. And there was this chick whose body was like insane, and they had her in like a Home Depot like apron, like nude, like underneath the apron, and then she was naked other ways. Always her. She was hot. And then we, of course, had her up to the station, and I tried to sleep with her. But that didn't happen.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I don't know what her deal was. Why she didn't want me.
What's her problem?
Yeah, she obviously was something wrong with her. All right, we'll be back in just a moment and catch you up with the thing or two that happened last evening.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
Cut your energy bills.
Seldom right and never wrong.
Right here. Is that Toucher or is that Hardy?
I know, looks like a poodle. It's an effing poodle, dumbass.
The Sports Hub.
Did you catch the game last night?
Hey, we are Toucher and Hardy. Hardy, what's going down?
Red Sox coming off their road trip and playing host to the Los Angeles Angels of, are they still of Anaheim?
I think they're just the Los Angeles Angels at this point.
All right, whatever. They're at Fenway Park last night. Beautiful night at the ballpark. Oh, gorgeous evening for baseball. Unfortunately, the Angels would strike first and then add to their lead.
Nobody out. Mike swings and sends a drive out to left center field. Yeah, baby! Get that one up over the monster. Mike Trout's 10th of the year.
What is happening?
Well,
I mean, seriously, what is going on here?
He's excited.
Yeah, baby!
I've never heard that from a baseball announcer.
Well, the
that
Angels
wasn't 19 and broadcasting college baseball.
The Angels are red hot.
Yeah.
I mean, look out for the Angels. A lot of excitement floating around that team.
Yeah, baby!
Over and over, every year, perennially. A lot of heat around that team.
Yeah.
You got to be excited about it. But that Trout was coming off the IR, right?
Yes. He's less than a week removed from being activated, yes.
Yeah, so my son went to that game last night, specifically, I think, to see Trout. But
doesn't play the field anymore. They moved him off of center field a couple of years ago, and that last night he was the DH. I mean, this is where we are. I mean, you look at his first 8 or 9 years, almost unparalleled in the last 30 or 40 years.
Yeah.
But now he is a shell of what he used to be. I mean, he had a big night last night, but Trout's hitting 230 at this point.
yeah, after last
Doesn't
night where
run
he was
anymore.
3 for 4, he's hitting 225. Yeah.
That wasn't the only offense for Los Angeles last night.
I would have loved to have seen that ball land on the street. Maybe that
Why?
one lands on the street.
Why would you like to see that, jackass?
Well,
What are you, 4?
Because it's neat. When it leaves the park altogether,
Yeah.
it goes to a place that is not the ballpark. That's what you want to see.
Trout hit a long home run, you see.
Well, it's not like if you're in Baltimore and hit one off the building or something. I don't know. Clearing the green monster is not that big a deal onto the street. It's only like 3, 4 rows deep.
I'd like to see you do it.
Well, I can't.
Yeah, I
what-
thought so.
If I could do it, I would be in
so.
a very high-end beer league.
shut up.
I'd
You
be in a
can't
very
do it.
high-end beer league.
Loser.
If you listen, if you let me lift for 2 weeks, I could get it out. I could lift it out of there.
I would have loved to have seen that ball land on the street. Maybe that one lands on the street. Oh man! Joe Adele with a long solo shot. Oh man!
Ho ho ho!
Yeah, baby!
Adele says hello again.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah, all
boy.
right. All right.
Only 2 more games left after this one. For that
Yeah,
guy.
and only like 130 left for
I
this guy to
know,
go
I
spaz
know.
out about. Jesus
I know.
Christ.
This is
it's a Monday night.
Just keep in mind the Angels are 4 or 5 games under 500.
Again, but I don't care if they're, if they're 30-1. There's no excuse. There's no excuse for this kind of excitement in June 1st. I don't like it. Calm down.
Well, would the Red Sox get any offense going last night? Yes, they would.
Guiding that one down the line and fair. It caroms off the short wall. 2 runs will score. Here's the throw into second. He'll dive in with another double. And the Red Sox right back in it.
He being Gonzalez, and that made it 6-5 in the bottom of the 5th. Unfortunately, we already heard from what Adele would do later on with that solo homer, just because I couldn't resist hearing.
Adele says hello again.
Yes, and
Oh, I just got the reference. Is that he's saying like Adele?
Adele says hello again.
yeah.
The singer, he's saying that her song "Hello." Okay,
I didn't
now
get
I get
that.
it. I just got it.
I didn't get that. Red Sox.
So he's gonna do that every time. Every time he does something. Where's the redheaded kid?
Darren,
Darren.
the intern for Cray-America.
No, your intern.
No, that's what.
yeah.
Called him Darren because that was Kramer's intern for Kramerica.
For our 10th anniversary, Hardy made a video. They did a video like of people congratulating us on 10 years, and there was an intern that would just stare at us like through the windows. He was hello, and he would pop out of like the corner and be staring at us. And Hardy made a very funny video. It's probably up on YouTube.
But it was weird. He wouldn't just sidestep in. He would kind of peer around the corner.
Yeah, he was like a lurker.
Weird.
He like lurked around. Oh no, it was weird because
very strange.
Because a lot of people, and I understand that if you're at a radio station, you're like as you guys know, I don't care if someone comes in. I don't care if they look through the window. No, this kid was weird. He would like peek his head around things, like he was, which makes it 100 times more awkward. Like, we can still see you. You might as well just present your whole body to us.
Yeah, as well. I'm still in touch with him. He's a nice kid.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah. Maybe you wised him up to not sidling and peeking around corners.
Hello.
Hello. Hi, fellas. Hello.
Adele says hello again.
All right, Red Sox would make a game of it, though, trailing 7-5 until...
Too high, fly ball left field deep, back it goes. It is gone. Home run for Cedar. It is a one-run game in the 8th. Home run number 4 for Cedar Raffaello.
Yeah, the one-run game. One-run game.
It would stay a one-run game. Red Sox lose 7-6.
If you had to guess how many one-run games the Red Sox have lost this season, what would be your number?
Well, with all the blown saves.
Yeah.
14?
I was going to say 10.
16.
Oh, God.
They're 6-16 in one-run games this season.
They got a ton of blown saves. So.
Oh, yeah, the bullpen hasn't been good. Now, Chapman's been great. He's blown one save all season, but the gaggle of relievers before him have struggled somewhat.
Oof.
16 one-run losses, including last night.
Not great. Okay, so what's the issue with the ball club right now? Let's ask Duran.
Yeah, I mean, we're just trying to keep it simple. We're not trying to do too much, like we know we don't got a lot of like home run guys, we got a lot of bangers, but we have guys that can't hit a homer like Rafa and RV and a bunch of guys, but I feel like we're just trying to work on passing the baton right now, just getting the next guy up, getting traffic and just trying to make things happen.
He's got to calm down. There was, I didn't have the sound down, but there was I guess the third base ump said that he went.
Yep.
And
I saw that live.
Yeah, and I had it on in the background, and it was he's losing his mind over everything. He's got to calm down. Like it's too much of a production with him. Everything.
It was a horrendous call, but he did lose his crap when it happened. I mean, it was the part of the problem was Fred. He had a check swing the pitch before, and the ump called it no swing. And he didn't go as far the second time, and the ump called it a swing and called him out. And that was the reason he lost his lunch.
That ump looked like 4.
Yes.
He was very young-looking ump.
Yes.
Duran was asked about it in the postgame.
I can't remember the last time I got like that towards an umpire. So, but at the end of the day, like he's doing his job, I'm doing my job. I may not agree with it, but at the end of the day, he is a human being, and if he thinks he made a mistake or not, I got to live with it, and it happens. It's part of baseball. We just got to live with those kind of calls, and it happens. But I just got to move on and get to the next game.
Yeah, Red Sox have 14 blown saves.
Yeah.
Yeah, baby!
62 games, 14 blown saves. 33 losses, 14 blown saves.
Yeah. Over half their losses, a little less than half, have been by one run. It's really impressive.
Oh, man!
Yeah.
I mean,
man.
Cora could point to that and go, what do you want out of me? Just keep blowing saves.
Yeah, but that means if your closer is then and you're trying to get the save, that means you're close. So Cora thinks they're close.
Yeah, it's been like that the whole season. We played well in Kansas City, and then the first game in Detroit was a tough one. Going into Tampa, the first one was a tough one. We just we're not that far off. I totally believe that, but we have to make sure we start off series the right way. I think that's how you do it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Start the series the right way, and then win games that you're leading, toward the end.
That would help.
Win those games.
That would help.
If you have a lead going into, say, the 8th or 9th inning, hold that lead.
If they had only, won half of those one-run games, they'd be right at 500 instead of 4 games below. Part of the problem is you have Rob Refsnyder hitting third, Romy Gonzalez fifth, and Torre sixth.
Yeah, for a team that's supposed to be kind of stacked, there's not a lot of big names on this team.
Well, I mean, there's 2 at the moment.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Three if you include Crochet, but on offense,
there
are 2.
Let's just stick to offense.
Yeah,
yes,
there are 2.
Yeah, it's. I keep hearing about this vast array of talent that they have, and I remember thinking that they were pretty good coming into the season, but you look at this lineup, and it's a bunch of, real nobodies.
It doesn't really matter who hits where after the first 2.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you had Christian Campbell hitting cleanup for a while. Meyer did it last week. I mean, it really doesn't matter. Rob Refsnyder is a utility player, and he hits third or fourth against lefties. That's what he is. Now, good for him. He's hitting 300, but he is a platoon player at best on a good team.
Yeah, he doesn't play a lot of baseball. We've been through this exercise before as
right.
going through this. He hasn't played a lot of baseball. But seriously, their lineup after Devers is a real mishmash of journeyman and stuff.
Romy Gonzalez is a utility infielder that's forced to play first base.
Yeah, Trevor Story is a bad player past his prime. Outside of Duran, Devers, and of Campbell, there's really... And Campbell's just based on his potential.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I love the idea of hitting a kid right when he comes up cleanup. Too.
Well, that's just it. I mean,
I don't know if I'm in love with that.
7 for about 76, and he was still hitting cleanup for this team last week.
And then they turned around and put Meyer in the cleanup spot, which I'm not positive I like either.
They are messing with these kids. They are seriously now. Good for the Red Sox for not forcing this kid Campbell to play first base. I mean, they actually put him back at second and left him there instead of putting him in center and in left and teaching him first. And it's tough enough to jump up from AAA to the majors, especially when the pressure's on you to perform. You're one of their top prospects. And then you start messing with them. Just leave him alone. Just let him go play second base and leave him there.
I think they should play Meyer at shortstop, too. I just think that if
Even better, send Campbell back to the minors because he's been really struggling. Move Story over to second, where he was considered Gold Glove caliber 2 years ago. Leave Meyer at short. And go from there. Have Gonzalez and Toro platoon at third.
The problem with moving Campbell down is that teams don't like doing that, especially if they're getting regular at bats in the majors. They don't like. Believe me, I've seen teams bring a kid up and then be married to it until they're really sinking, and then you gotta move them down, and then that screws them up.
7 for 75 is really sinking.
No, I know, but then you move them down and it screws them up. It's just that's why they're so hesitant to call these kids up. I gotta imagine that's why they're not calling Roman Anthony up, is because he's so young.
Well, the other part of it is, and they've been beating this drum since March, they're not going to promote him until he can play every day. And right now they have, if nothing else, a lot of outfielders are switching in and out. Well, you have Duran is locked in left. You have Rafaela in center because his defense is too good. And Wilyer Abreu started hot but has tailed off a little bit, and he's literally a Gold Glove in right.
And Anthony's 20, right? 20 or 21?
20 or 21.
Yeah, so I can see why they didn't bring him up. I mean, you want him playing every day. Yeah, you got to have him playing every day. You got to have him getting at bats every day, or there's no point in bringing him up. You're just stalling his progress. But interesting, very interesting. That lineup is a real stinker.
Yeah, it's been bad for a while. And it wasn't like having Casas there was, helping.
No.
Casas was your cleanup hitter at times before he got hurt.
I'm not wild about Casas.
No, he has not performed all that well.
I don't know if Casas is ever going to be that good a major league player. You do miss Bregman, though. But Bregman, if you would have signed with the Tigers, holy moly, would they be even better now? That they're going to trade for a third baseman, apparently. I'm not a Tiger fan, but that team is on fire, and Bregman could have had it all. He probably wouldn't even be hurt. Would have played in Detroit. They have a better medical staff. All right, we'll be back in just a moment here. By the way, what happened last night is brought to you by Leonard Hair Transplant Associates, where your hair doesn't have to be a game. What happened? So change your lettuce and change your life with Dr. Matthew Lepresti at 1-800-GET-HAIR.
Essential Sports Hub headline presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Angels beat the Red Sox 7-6 at Fenway Park in the opener of a 3-game series. Jarren Duran 3 hits in the loss. Red Sox play the Angels again tonight. Stefon Diggs on the field for the Patriots hit their voluntary OTA in Foxborough yesterday. He was out there in a limited capacity. The NFL Network is reporting the Patriots have no plans to cut him. Patriots center David Andrews officially announced his retirement yesterday in a social media post. And Celtics assistant GM Austin Ainge has left the franchise. He is the new president of basketball operations of the Utah Jazz. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Valvoline Instant Oil Change. Enjoy quick and convenient vehicle maintenance this month. Visit NewEnglandOilChange.com. 15% off your drive-through oil change at Valvoline Instant Oil Change, the official oil change of busy people. I'm John Wallach on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 7 o'clock.
Toucher and Hardy, 98.5 The Sports Hub.
listening at the end of this segment for a pair of tickets to Gab Fest, the first beer fest at the Great American Beer Hall in Medford. I think Adam and Nick were making sport of me before the show this morning.
How so?
Because I have my big Block Party Tour shirt on from the show I went to on Friday, and you asked me how much it cost, and then you said you and Nick were guessing about how much it cost, which makes me feel like you're making sport of me.
Oh, we weren't making sport of you at all. We were more commenting on how expensive T-shirts have gotten at concerts over the years.
What do you think a reasonable price for a concert T-shirt is?
$30.
Yeah,
It's $40.
I would say 30.
But comparatively, I mean, if you've taken your kids to a big show, I mean, since merch is so popular with kids now,
Yeah.
I mean, $120 for a sweatshirt at a show.
Freaking hoodies.
Yeah.
Nothing cheaper than $50 if you're going to see like a big name act at, say, Fenway. Like, you're lucky to get out of there with a $50 T-shirt.
See, I thought 40 was reasonable. Black Party was pretty easy.
I would give them. Well, that's the thing too, is I want to give Block Party $40. I don't need to give the Red Hot Chili Peppers $40.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's a 5,000 seat venue.
They were at MGM Music Hall?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's a big venue.
I didn't know it was that big.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's huge. And the tickets were $75 a piece, which I thought was very reasonable as things go now.
Sure.
And they were first balcony center. And then the T-shirt was $40. All told, I got out of there around $200. I mean, that's for an evening of entertainment nowadays. I mean, you go to the movies and you eat on a weekend night. That's $100 at least. I mean, things you go to a Red Sox game. Jesus Christ, who knows how much you're paying? Even if you take the train, you're paying a lot of money.
I only saw one show at MGM. I saw the Yeah, Yeah, Yeahs. And I didn't know anything about them. Marcy swore I'd know some of the songs. I didn't know any of the songs.
You know one. Wait.
Yeah, Maps.
I don't know how much I love you. Wait. It's like a kind of ubiquitous song, or whatever the term is. Ubiquitous.
What does ubiquitous mean?
I have no idea. But I knew that's the word he was going for.
It's like the Jesus twins. Feel my
everywhere.
ubiquity.
Good pull. Good pull. Wow.
Yeah, baby.
Feel my ubiquity.
Feel my ubiquity. Ubiquitous, like it's everywhere. Like you know, wait, they don't love you like I love you. Wait, they don't you, and she's crying in the video. The drummer looks.
What do we do with it? I mean, it's, they're yearbook pictures on a radio show. I didn't know what to do with it. But I got to say, for as nerdy as some of them are, Wallach was pretty good looking in a kid in high school. Well,
especially holding that clarinet.
Okay, the clarinet photo wasn't, altogether awesome. But the other photos of Wallach, did you see him, John?
No, I was not sent those pictures.
I'll forward them.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Nick would like them too to post on the socials, please and thank you.
Okay.
We posted his senior photo before.
Yeah, no, that was the infancy of the show. We had someone who actually went to Cary Memorial Library and found my yearbook.
Yeah, I mean, you went to school down the street. This isn't, hard to find. I'm sure there's a lot of people that we went to high school with.
But the point is, the effort there was impressive. So yeah, you guys posted that photo early in the show.
Yeah,
and then I had someone send the picture of me. I assume it's the marching band photo of me holding the clarinet.
There's a lot of photos, and I was at Chipotle in line with my daughter when I looked at them. I appreciate them because of E.T. They loved E.T.
I'm going to Elliot's house.
Wow.
Yeah.
Look at that.
So John's identity kind of in high school, we kind of underplay it. He was, according to the yearbook, his whole identity was that clarinet.
He's got the licorice stick. Look at him go.
Oh, Jesus. Is that what you're calling this?
Yeah. That's what the cool jazz cats call it.
Look at that rugby shirt. That's just, please stick me in the toilet. Look at that.
Are those photochromatic lenses in your spectacles in that one photo, John? Because they appear to be darkened a little bit.
Yes, I believe they were at the time. Yes.
So the sun would trigger them to turn into sunglasses.
That's correct.
That sounds really annoying.
Or a bright light from a photograph being taken inside.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they could cover him
oh, man.
looking at boobies.
I just saw the last one. That's not good.
You're fine.
Oh,
You're fine.
Look at that plaid shirt.
David Andrews retired yesterday. Said he wanted to get
yesterday. Okay. All right.
Well, that was announced yesterday.
Yeah.
They had the big announcement yesterday. It was, you know what? It was truly emotional.
All right. I wrote this down, so I'm going to try to get through it. At the start, all right, here we go. When I knew this day was coming, I was thinking
Get
about...
to it already.
Fred.
I heard. Come on! Time's ticking. Public speaking, Dale Carnegie.
All right, here we go.
All right.
When I knew this day was coming, I was thinking about what I wanted to say. As you can see, there's a lot of emotions.
No kidding. Knock it off. You're making everyone uncomfortable.
Making me feel.
You're just making me look at you different. Big sad sack.
There's no better teacher of the game of life than the game of football. I wouldn't change one thing about my 26 years playing this game, but it's time to say goodbye.
I'm doing lines of key bumps on the... How dare you? What a bold statement now that he's not being tested.
Just up there doing toots in between every other sentence.
I'm kidding. I can imagine it's very difficult if you spent your whole life playing football to retire. Did someone told me that...
He's in a really good place, though. I saw him at the pickleball thing last week, and and then we saw him out here one day after we were leaving the show. You ain't gone that day, Fred. But, I mean, he is solid. He's healthy. Looks good, feels good. Obviously, an emotional day yesterday.
Someone said yesterday told me that the life expectancy for an NFL football player was like 50-something. That can't be right, is it?
Maybe years and years ago, but I can't imagine.
Yeah,
that's the
I
case
can't
anymore.
imagine that's the case anymore. Because Terry Bradshaw, out of everyone, would be dead.
That guy took more hard hits than anybody.
Well, Troy Aikman had terrible concussion problems, and he's still lucid on TV. It didn't sound right, and it was like early. For anything in the 50s nowadays is super young to die, and to have that be like an average, that means people are dying in their 30s. So
I would highly doubt that that's still the case. Yeah, for guys who played in the 70s and the 80s, and God knows what was going on. Yeah, that may have been.
Well, I mean, read a biography from even our parents' generation of them growing up. Like, their parents were dying in their 40s.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, those people have been through the Holocaust and stuff like that. You ain't that you go through that kind of mental hell as a kid. You're dying. I've been listening to Geddy Lee's biography. And he does this whole chapter on the Holocaust. Both his parents were Holocaust survivors. And his dad died when he was like 40-something. Because his heart, just like all that manual labor and uncertainty and hellishness just wore his heart down. And he died in his 40s. He wasn't like an alcoholic or like smoking more than anyone else. And kaboom.
Well, Jim Irsay passed away at the young age of 65 when Robert Kraft spoke yesterday during David Andrews' retirement announcement. He mentioned Mr. Irsay.
Before I begin, we had a sobering experience. Jonathan and I just got back from Indianapolis and at Jim Irsay's memorial, and it gives you perspective sometimes. He was a good partner.
And no cause of death has been released for Jim Irsay as far as I know, but it's probably not great.
No, I would imagine. All right, caller number 10 to the contest line, 617-931-0985. Will score a pair of general admission tickets for Session 1 of Gab Fest, the first beer fest at the Great American Beer Hall in Medford, Mass. on Saturday, June 14th. Enjoy more than 30 different beers, live music, DJs, and nonstop entertainment. For more info and Eventbrite tickets, visit gabhall.com. There is our journalistic god has been attacked, and we must rush to his defense. We will do that in just a moment.
Stay tuned for more Toucher and Hardy on the Sport.
Fenway Park. Sox starter Richard Fitz wasn't around long after allowing 6 runs on the top of the first inning. Mike Trout hit a 3-run homer for the Winners that went over 450 feet, and Joe Adell added a pair of solo shots. Jaron Duran and the Sox have now lost 16 one-run games this season.
Personally, I think it says that we're a really, really good team, and we've been in a lot of games, but we just got to get over that hump.
They're 4 games under 500. They pitch Brian Bayo against the Angels tonight. And Patriots news, they had Stefon Diggs on their field at their voluntary OTA in Foxborough yesterday. He was out there in a limited capacity. The NFL Network is reporting the team has no plans to cut him. Wide receivers Kendrick Bourne and Mac Hollins missed the workout, along with Carlton Davis and others. Drake May in the offense had a much better day. Linebacker Jelani Tavai suffered what appeared to be a serious left leg injury and had to leave the field. And other NFL news, Patriots center David Andrews officially announced his retirement yesterday. And in a social media post, so did Detroit Pro Bowl center Frank Ragnow at the age of 29. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Premier Basement Waterproofing. 11 straight weekends of rain and more coming this weekend. So what are you waiting for? Call our guys at Premier and get waterproof so you never worry again. 844-LIVE-DRY or premierbasement.net. It's game over for water. I'm John Wallach at Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 7:30.
Start your day.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Work through your day.
What's that thing we do at the end of the show?
And end your day.
I'm not giving you an opinion. I don't know.
Right here, 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Is elongating?
Weekday morning.
Here goes Hardy.
Toucher and Hardy.
I no longer love things.
Let's go. Let's ride.
98.5.
Like, let's roll the dice.
The Sports Hub.
Hiding a real world stupidity, which is fascinating. Well, Pablo Torre is, we've had him on the show. He's truly a hero. And yesterday I had dinner with some people, and they told me that our show, specifically my voice, was featured in the Pablo Torre Finds Out podcast, and lo and behold, I guess it is. I haven't heard it. This is my first time hearing it. Here we go.
And this week, another twist in the back and forth media saga. Sports journalist Pablo Torre reporting that Hudson is being blacklisted by the university's football program.
If you put me on a lie detector right now and you said, who's the greatest sports journalist in the world, I swear to God, I'd say Pablo Torre.
I believe Pablo Torres, who, put out a big statement on Friday, basically dictating exactly where he got the information from, higher ups of North Carolina and what have you. And I believe Pablo.
Hey, me and Mad Dog.
Yeah. How about that? How about that?
Well, I'm honored to be. I'm truly honored to be featured on the Pablo Torre intro. I do believe that. Pablo Torre. The thing that's great about him is he's really smart and an actual journalist. So when he covers something like this, A, he articulates the points much better than I, and B, he's just giving me stuff to riff off of. I love it. And he's not going away.
He's traveling places to get videos and things. Oh, he's just getting started.
I have a real, I don't know him, and I haven't talked to him except on the air, but I have a very strong inkling that he's got more stuff that's ready to pop. It's just when he gets it, because he's sniffing around more stuff, to my knowledge. All right, now look, Bill Simmons. A couple things about this. I have thoughts on this. First of all, Bill Simmons has got a podcast, one of many, many podcasts. The Ringer is a fine website. They've been nice to me. I love Alan Siegel that writes for them. They put an article up. They feature me. I have nothing against The Ringer. He does a podcast called The Rewatchables. This is the first I've heard of it. The Rewatchables is that how does this work? Do they watch it? Does anyone know? Do they watch a whole movie and then the podcast is them talking about the movie as it goes on, or did they watch the movie and they're recapping it?
I'm not familiar with it.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know the origin of this and why the movie gets brought into this.
Okay, because Rewatchables sounds like because they were doing Heaven Can Wait. So I wonder how many movies they've done before they got to Heaven Can Wait.
I was just going to say, that's late 1970s?
I like that movie.
It's a fine movie.
I'm aware of it because it was a big flop and Warren Beatty was in it. And it's about a football player. I've never seen it. It's from, I think it probably came out, 79, 80, I'm guessing.
Yeah, Beatty plays a guy, a millionaire who's an a-hole that winds up in the body of a L.A. Rams quarterback.
Oof, that sounds... Because it was a director's... Okay, so my knowledge of Heaven Can Wait is that it was a director whose first movie was this sensation. They gave him like an unlimited budget. He came out with Heaven Can Wait. It went way over budget and was a flop. It's like a cautionary Hollywood tale, but I've never seen it. Mm-hmm. And so and I don't know if it's bad enough. Is it a Mystery Science Theater 3000 thing? I don't understand.
It doesn't. The description's pretty vague.
Podcast.
The Rewatchables, a film podcast from the Ringer Podcast Network, features the Ringer's Bill Simmons and a roundtable of movie lovers from the Ringer universe discussing movies they can't seem to stop watching. So it seems that they're just picking a movie and just talking about it.
Okay, then that makes more sense. Then I didn't know if it was like you synced it up to the movie and they just made comments for 2 hours.
And are you thinking of Heaven's Gate?
I'm thinking of Heaven's Gate.
Yes.
Yeah. All
Heaven's Gate is the biggest flop.
Okay. All right. There you go. Well, you could see how I'd make the mistake. Heaven Can Wait. Heaven's Gate. I apologize. Suffice it to say, what the hell? I don't know anything about this movie. I don't know who this is relating to. I don't know how many people have this, knowledge of Heaven Can Wait that they can. That you would relate to the podcast.
Well, allow me. Warren Beatty plays Joe Pendleton, who's the Rams quarterback, and then he suffers a horrific accident, dies prematurely, and he's very upset with the Angels are trying to take him away. And they say, you know what? You weren't supposed to die this soon. We can put you back into the body of this billionaire, Leo Farnsworth. And he goes, great. I'll go back as Leo Farnsworth, this old billionaire type. And he said, I'm going to buy the team, and I'm going to make myself quarterback.
Oh, so it's a George Plimpton affair. Okay, well, okay. There you go.
I had it wrong. All right.
I just want to know how often they must do the podcast a lot if they're down to Heaven Can Wait or whatever the hell it's called. All right, so here is Bill Simmons.
Charles Grodin's in it. He's my whoopee.
Big Midnight Express guy.
Yeah.
That's why you know it.
So
all right.
I loved his show on CNBC. Kathy Griffin ruined that for Jerry when he was going to go on Grodin with the doll, the guy in the barbecue sauce that just looked like him. Let's do a Seinfeld rewatch now. I've done Saved by the Bell ones before. All right, so here we go. This is Bill Simmons talking about our boy Pablo Torre. Watch what you say, Bill. I don't like this.
Pablo Torre would have done a long podcast about Leo Farnsworth trying to practice with the team.
Yeah, would right up in.
Do you think he's purposely trying to lower the register of his voice because he's been told that he speaks a little too high pitched?
I think that you have hit the nail on the head. Heaven Can Wait, by the way, came out in 1973.
78.
This says focused on the 1973 film Heaven Can Wait. Am I wrong? Because I'm reading it from Awful Announcing. Because I have it
Heaven
up.
Can Wait is a 1978 American.
Awful Announcing.
Awful
Announcing. Get your S together. Jesus Christ. Because I got it up because Pablo Torre responded to Bill Simmons, and I've got thoughts on that, too. Here we go. Here's what Bill Simmons said.
Pablo Torre would have done a long podcast about Leo Farnsworth trying to practice with the team and then done a media tour about it afterwards. This guy, bro. I've never seen anybody dying on the stupider story for a week and a half while I'm telling you're a journalist. What the was that?
Whoa!
Seriously.
What the
Check's dating a girl. Oh, let me do 9 shows about it.
All right, now you're being deliberately obtuse. Belichick's dating a girl, do 9 shows about it. I mean, Jesus Christ, you understand. I know I have a theory on why he's doing this, but there's one of 2 things, and maybe probably a combination of both, and I will do that. I will unveil my theory at the end of this. But you're being deliberately obtuse. It's not about him dating her. It's about her. Come on, get out of here. It's about dating her. It's about her taking over his career and spending a bunch of his money and his family being BS about it. Come on. Stop that willful ignorance. Stop it. It's not about him sticking it to a young lady. It's about him. Come on. The arrogance and pompousness and the bullying that he got away with for 20 years. And then you realize that he's like a child when it comes to anything off the football field. Come on. Enough with that. I'm so sick of that. okay, I get it. You're so much better than this, but you're doing a podcast on a movie from 1978.
Well,
That's what everyone's got time for. You know what? What the hell's he talking about? During a podcast referring to a movie that no one's seen for 40 years, you've got the audacity that a movie that came out when I was 3, that's not The Godfather or something, that you're, during that exercise, you're talking about Pablo Torre is wasting everyone's time with the Belichick story. You're literally doing something, the most frivolous thing that you could ever do. I mean, you're talking about a 1978 film that no one saw, but Pablo Torre's an a-hole for talking about Bill Belichick involving a woman that was in a Super Bowl commercial of the most famous CBS Sunday morning interview of my lifetime. Come on. That willful ignorance. That's just deliberately willfully.
You got to give him a little bit of wiggle room here. He had just finished a 10,000-word essay on a regular season Celtics game.
Right.
So
talk about dining on frivolous things. Jesus.
I mean, isn't that the whole point?
How many words? He's like 10,000 words. I'm just getting started. Okay.
But isn't that the whole Bill Simmons brand? Is like really going all in on minutia, like esoteric things, pop culture things. He's a big Chuck Klosterman guy. Klosterman's whole career and very successful career is about, Fargo Rock City, like about hair metal or about the 80s television. Like that's the whole ringer is about this stuff.
So again, Bill Simmons taking time away from his study of Diane Cannon as the femme fatale in a movie that came out almost 50 years ago to crap all over Pablo Torre for doing something that isn't worthwhile. Got it. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, come on, man. Have a little bit of self-reflection, self-awareness. Like, no, you're protesting a little bit too much during a comedic exercise in minutia. Like, I guess the funny part of the rewatchables is the idea that it's absurd to be talking at great detail about these movies, right? I mean, that's why Go Bayside podcast was funny, because it's absurd to talk an hour about a 22-minute Saved by the Bell episode. It's funny, right? That's the whole point of it. Okay.
What the Check's dating a girl. Oh, let me do 9 shows about it.
I can't tell. Are you
settle the down?
If this was about Jeffrey Lurie, though, would you be like, we got to get Pablo Torre on the line?
Thing, right? Like, why are you getting him?
All right, you don't need to do media tour
It was
about
a story
podcast.
everybody was talking
That's
about,
fine.
to be fair.
Maybe do 2
Oh, Jesus Christ.
shows.
Yeah. Get in the same room. You're talking all over each other. But, okay, here's my thing with Bill Simmons. And again, I like The Ringer. My thing with Bill Simmons is this. It's twofold. Either he's likely knows Belichick because he is famous and he's from a huge Boston sports fan, and he probably worshipped Belichick. And I'm guessing he knows him and that he's defending him, which is odd because his family's not. But there you go. I guess it's his job to do that. But more than that, Bill Simmons, I think, falls into the camp of a guy who's moved away from a city and hasn't lived in a city a long time, and still has like the childhood notion of defending things that he thinks he should be defending, when if you stuck around and you've lived here, you realize that this is not the
hill to die on.
Yeah,
Well,
that you're not speaking for the fan base.
And guys who we know and guys who I like Bill Burr, he was doing the same thing during the end of Bill Belichick's tenure here. It's like, come on, these idiots talking about how Bill Belichick's going to get fired. He's not going to get fired. He's the greatest coach ever. I'm like, Bill, yeah, I don't know how much time you're spending in Boston these days, but A, he's absolutely going to get fired, and B, so many people wanted it to happen before the end of the season. Like, I think you just lose a little bit of touch, not with reality, just with what the other fans are thinking who are living it every day.
Yeah, if you move out to L.A., like, you hold dearly onto these allegiances that you made when you were a kid, but your allegiances are still childlike with them. When you live in the city and are thinking and talking about it every day, you realize that this homerism, this like blind homerism, isn't how people feel, because people aren't 12 years old anymore. I told you, I've said this a million times. There's nothing more annoying than a Red Sox fan at a regular season away game for the Red Sox. They treat it like they're at Game 7 of the World Series. It's, June 23rd. You're at Turner Field back in the day, and there's 5 Red Sox fans that have relocated to Atlanta 10 years before, going ballistic every at-bat, and you're like, calm the F down. Yeah. I mean, Jesus Christ. Like, I get it. You're a Red Sox fan. It's June.
So 2 things before we get Mark Daniels coming up here in a moment.
Well, we can't be late.
Not right. Pro Football Talk was writing about this exchange, what Bill Simmons said. Mm-hmm. And he said, why is it that he thinks that people are all interested in it? And he said the reason is simple. People can't get enough of the story. Our traffic proves it. For instance, the top 4 stories from May on Pro Football Talk, all related to Belichick and his 24-year-old girlfriend / handler / publicist / idea mill, Jordan Hudson. So their top stories, all at Pro Football Talk, all have to do with this. And then Pablo Torre himself had a reply.
So Pablo Torre is the 50 Cent of journalism. You don't want to on the wrong side of 50 Cent because 50 Cent will go on the Breakfast Club and just say whatever he wants. I mean, 50 Cent go on the Breakfast Club and call you out. I mean, he was talking about Puffy or Diddy, 10, 15 years ago. He didn't care.
No.
So Pablo Torre is the journalistic equivalent of that. Now, Pablo Torre, from an Awful Announcing report, he retweets the Awful Announcing story. And he says, "Dear at Bill Simmons," so he adds him, which is very aggressive on Twitter. He says, "Since you have such a strong public opinion about my work, I happen to have a few questions for you specifically." Now, you know what that tells me? That Pablo Torre's got some stuff on Bill Simmons.
Oh, yeah.
Doesn't that read that way to you? I think that is
right.
exactly what he's doing.
No. That's exactly what it is.
Oh, yeah, come on my podcast. Let's talk about some things I know about you, and I'm very comfortable and have vetted and that I know are not up for any kind of libelous talk. Let's get you on and talk about this. So he's putting him in the crosshairs.
People still think, and I think Bill Simmons is one of these guys, that Pablo Torre is just sitting in his bedroom talking into the ether about stuff he has opinions on, when in reality he is sourcing everything, reporting everything, doing legwork. This is the opposite of the guy you want to pick a fight with.
But yeah, if he's so meaningless and this is so meaningless, he's done a press tour. He talks about it. Vanity Fair, New York Times, they're all talking to him. So he said, "Dear at Bill Simmons, since you have such a strong public opinion about my work, I happen to have a few questions for you specifically. Unless you're afraid of at Pablo Torres finds out and someone just pretending to be a journalist, of course. Thanks, Pablo." So he's asking him to come on his podcast because he has specific questions for him specifically, not just about the Bill Belichick thing, but perhaps Bill Belichick's involvement with Bill Simmons or Bill Simmons' involvement with Bill Belichick.
I don't think that's a stretch at all.
Bill Simmons' involvement in being a third party to this relationship. I think that's exactly what he's
Yes, I don't think
he's
think
inferring
that logic is good.
Or
yes.
implying. Implying or inferring, one of the two.
Either. Fine.
Inferring.
Okay.
Inferring. That's what he's inferring. I get these two words mixed up.
Making an inference.
I'm sure Mark Daniels could settle this dispute. I'm sure that he could tell
Well,
us
anyway, then not to get bogged down in language. So, yeah, I think Bill Simmons has this childlike notion of what the Boston fan base is thinking because he moved when he was still basically a kid. I'm 22 years old, right? He went to Holy Cross, so say he moved to California in his 20s, 30s. I mean, he's still like he's
late
still
20s, early 30s.
He's looking at it like a fanboy. I can assure you that as someone who's on the radio 5 days a week in Boston, that it's good pickings, this Belichick stuff. And second of all, I think he's probably friends with them. But the craziest thing is that he's doing a podcast about the movie Heaven Can Wait, which I assume part of the joke is that it's absurd to be doing that. But during that podcast, he's talking about how Pablo Torre is spending too much time on this story because it's nonsense. Well, it's all nonsense. Pablo Torres is at least something that everyone's talking about, including Washington Post, New York Times, Good Morning America, I mean, come on. This is a huge, huge national story. And he knows damn well it's not about him just dating a younger woman. He knows very well that it's about what it's about. And we've already gone over that several times. And that's willful ignorance, and I have no time for that. I don't like that as a tactic. I don't know why he's talking. Yes, you do. It's what you do for a living. You obviously know what he's talking about. Come on. I think there also might be a little professional jealousy in there, too.
Yes.
I think that it's threefold. So not Bill Simmons' greatest moment. Pablo, anything you need from me, baby, you reach out. We're all here for you. We got your back. Pablo Torre, the greatest sports journalist in the world. Mark Daniels is a local yokel. No, I'm just kidding. Mark Daniels, he was at the Patriots mini campus. Stefon Diggs made his return. We'll talk to him in just a moment.
More Toucher and Hardy on the way on the Sports.
McDaniels talking about Stefon Diggs. Mark Daniels covers the Patriots for Mass Live.
Oh.
He's on with us. By the way, I'm extraordinarily confident that pink stuff was Tusi. I've talked to some people that are like, it's this is what it is. I guess it's in Nantucket. That it's very people in the know, is that's what it is. Which is again MDMA, ketamine, and coke. I had never heard of it in my entire life. I do enjoy that it's pink. And apparently it's a lot more pleasant than you would think. I've been told that that it's not so bad. But I wouldn't do. It sounds awful to me. It sounds like a lot could go sideways. But I talked to someone who enjoys it. So what are you gonna do?
Let's get him on the show.
Yeah,
cool.
Let's do that. Mark Daniels covers the Patriots. As I said, Mark Daniels. Hello, sir.
Hey guys, an elite circle in Nantucket, two things that are not associated with me. So yeah, that's why I've never heard of that word.
I've been to Nantucket once in my life, and I'd never heard of Tusi myself, but it's definitively from many, many people, that's the belief of what it is. So that's all that interested me in that boat thing, was what was in that bag. But Mark, we've talked to a couple people.
Just because you're a nice guy doesn't mean you're a good football player, but it's been noteworthy to me that, like, from Will Campbell to, the new linebackers, Harold Landry, Morgan Moses, they all seem like awesome guys to have around younger players. And that was the big first step from Mike Vrabel. Let's change the culture in New England. Let's bring in new leadership, sort of out with the old, in with the new. And, a guy like Stefon Diggs, like, either you're going to be on that path with Mike Vrabel or you're not. This won't be a team that, if guys aren't on the same page with Mike Vrabel, they're going to stick around.
So I assume it's not a coincidence that that he is at OTAs this week, the week after the boat video was released.
And I think that was the big thing to watch. Like, I heard the rumors too, and if Stefon Diggs wasn't there yesterday, it continues, and that's the storyline all week, where the Patriots actually cut Stefon Diggs before he plays his snap. But he was there. He was engaged. I mean, I'll tell you, he was, when he left practice yesterday, he was side by side with Kayshon Boutte, and he was sort of coaching him up. And that's what I've heard about Stefon. I heard last year in Houston that he was an outstanding teammate. He was voted a captain for the first time on the Texans. When I talked to his physical therapist this spring about him, the thing he said was that Steph came in and he was instantly mentoring and coaching up and helping the college kids who were there, or even the younger NFL players. He's really sort of, matured into this leadership role. So you see the boat video and you say, all right, can you get on the same page with Mike Vrabel? And as of yesterday, it definitely looked like he was. And, I'd say it's a good sign for him and hopefully a good sign for the Patriots, because they need, that's the other thing here, is they need Stefon Diggs. The reason they're willing to pay him almost $70 million is because they need a game-changing wide receiver. They still haven't had a 1,000-yard guy since Julian Edelman in 2019. They haven't had a Pro Bowl pass catcher since Rob Gronkowski in 2017. So it's a huge need, and if he can stay on the right path and be the leader that people say he is, then yeah, he should work with Mike Vrabel. But again, guys, if you're not willing to work with Mike Vrabel, then Mike Vrabel probably does not want you around.
The sense that I get, Mark, is that maybe the Patriots aren't as concerned or upset about the actual activity and behavior as much as they are that it came out and it kind of flies in the face of what else is going on in Foxborough right now. Like, the team understands what players do. Not every player, but a lot of players do it. That part of it, they're not clutching their pearls over the activity so much as, come on, man, we talked about this. There's got to be like a vibe, and that's not really the vibe that we discussed.
I'm sure Stefon Diggs was not the only NFL player partying during Memorial Day weekend, and especially in the offseason, like, I'm sure that stuff is a regular occurrence of, I'm not saying the pink stuff, but I'm saying partying on boats or just having a good time in the off season.
Well, this pink stuff in Miami is apparently very big, Mark. Don't you don't underestimate the power of the Tusi. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's just that stuff's just over my head. But yeah, I think people might be a little bit surprised with how often certain NFL players will party in the offseason. But you're right, it's not videotaped and it's not on social media, and that serves as a distraction, and you can't have that.
Okay, so here's the deal, too, is that with new coaches, and especially ones that are highly esteemed and, going into a second job, at this time of the season, and it's May, June now, but, in May when they started these voluntary camps, there are teams that are kind of like beating their chest, like, look, everyone showed up. Like, we have perfect attendance. Remember when Aaron Rodgers skipped stuff last year and it was like a big deal? So I would figure that if I'm a new coach and I'm establishing a culture, I don't want the lens of the media already to be, why is that guy not at camp? And why is he not, if he's not at camp, why is he not training on his own? And I know Stefon Diggs put out a bunch of videos of him training on his own. But there are teams with perfect attendance, with new coaches, and it doesn't mean anything. But if I'm the coach and there's a storyline this quickly that I've already lost control, which is not fair, but like one of my players has already gone AWOL, that's really pissing me off. Like, they had conversations before they signed him, like, all right, we're bringing you in, like you said, Mark, to be a mentor, and we're bringing you in to be a leader, and we need you to lead this receivers room. And we understand if you don't come to voluntary OTAs, but if you're going to travel around with a camera crew with your famous girlfriend, you're throwing me under the bus. That seems legitimate.
And they when they had the visit with Stefon, when he came up here in free agency, they had the physical, but also they took him out to dinner. And that was really about getting to know him as a player off the field to see if he fit, in this culture. And like what you said about the storyline, like, it quickly went from like, oh, look at Mike Vrabel. He puts on a pad and he practices with players. Then it was, Drake May is struggling a little bit in McDaniel's system. And then all of a sudden you're right. It's not about football. And that's what every coach doesn't want, especially a first-year head coach trying to establish a new culture. You don't want that distraction. He wants people talking about him, strapping on a penny and getting in on blocking drills and stuff like that. So, yeah. So, hopefully for Stefon, Monday was a step in the right direction. And I'll tell you guys, he looked good. Like, he was limited. He wasn't in full-team drills, but, like, the way he moved in individual drills, it impressed me. He looked fast. Like, for a guy who suffered a torn ACL last fall, I was surprised at the amount of things he was doing, especially considering last year at this time, like, Kendrick Bourne was in the same boat. He suffered a torn ACL in 2023, and last offseason, I didn't see him, through training camp. It's like, and that's not unheard of. A guy suffers a knee injury and he doesn't practice, or he's on the PUP list for camp. Stefon Diggs is already out there, and I think that sort of shines a light on the way he's worked and the way he's recovered, and hopefully, for the Patriots, that's the storyline, because as we said, like, if you're not going to be on the same page with Mike Vrabel, I think he's not going to be a, let everything slide type head coach.
Real quick about the offense, I assume we can cancel the red alert on Drake May.
Hey, guys, he's back. It's good news. Drake May is back. Yeah, 14 of 16. He completed 87.5% of his passes in non-contact, meaningless team drills. But it was such a step in the right direction. Like the day before, like the week before, it was at 53%, and the game before that, or the practice before that, it was 4 interceptions.
Right.
So it looked completely different. He was efficient. He threw multiple deep balls. Like Ramondre Stevenson made like a diving 30-yard catch. He hit Kayshon Boutte multiple times deep. Kyle Williams, the rookie, caught a deep pass. It was different. It was Josh McDaniels told us before practice he wasn't worried about Drake May and that he was impressed with him. And then practice starts and you see why. Like, oh, there he is. It's like, there's the guy everyone thought he could be. And I guess we have to remind ourselves it's the spring. Every practice we see, they're sort of installing new stuff. And that was what impressed me yesterday about Drake was Josh told us, hey, we're running plays we've never run before. Well, Drake did pretty good job with that, guys. Again, he only had 2 incomplete passes, and one was an accurate deep ball, but Jalen Hawkins broke it up. So, yeah, guys, Drake May, he's back.
Just real quick, has Kyle Williams signed yet?
It's a good question.
Because I'm under the impression that he hasn't signed and the first-round pick haven't signed. And I was
second-round pick too, right? The top 3 guys, correct?
Yeah, I was going to say, I believe it's I thought one was Craig Wilson, so I thought it was
I might be you would know better than me, but just any insight on why that hasn't happened yet?
When rookies don't sign right away, sometimes they're sort of, it's about the guaranteed money or the type of signing bonus they get. There's only a very little bit of wiggle room.
Right.
You rarely see a holdout because it's all sort of a formality at this point. But like a guy in the second round, he got it. I think it was fully guaranteed. So I imagine for Travion Henderson, you see someone drafted in the second round who has a fully guaranteed contract. I imagine that's where the conversation is with the Patriots.
I think he did sign. It looks like he signed early May.
Okay.
I think it's Craig Woodson, Travion Henderson, and Will Campbell.
Okay. Very good. All right. Thank you, Mark Daniels. Read him in Mass Live. He's at everything. And He's very familiar with the pink bag, as he is.
Untrue, false. Yeah,
that is a false. I made that up. All right, Mark. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
All right, when we appreciate it. I'll tell you this. I will tell you this story when we come back. Someone, I was involved in running afoul of the law yesterday.
You were involved?
Wow. I guess I'm guessing, but I will explain all. It's very salacious, obviously, since I'm telling it on the air, and I didn't think of it until after the show
Hardy,
started.
look who we're hanging out with. Jesus, look at this scofflaw.
Well, I was just doing research on Tusi. That's all I was doing. No. But something happened. It's very interesting. I want your opinion on it. We'll be back in just a moment. Hear the headlines.
Essential Sports Hub headline presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
The Los Angeles Angels beat the Red Sox 7-6 at Fenway Park last night. Joe Adell, 2 home runs for the winners. Mike Trout, a very long 3-run shot. Red Sox will try again tonight. Patriots went to another OTA yesterday in Foxborough. Stefon Diggs out there in a limited capacity. The NFL Network is reporting the Patriots have no plans to cut him. Former Patriots center David Andrews officially announced his retirement yesterday. In Detroit, Pro Bowl center Frank Ragnow did the same at the age of 29. And Celtics assistant GM Austin Ainge left the franchise yesterday to join the Utah Jazz as their new president of basketball operations. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Dr. Matthew Lopresti and Lettered Hair Transplant Associates, the hair doctor of Hardy, Charlie McAvoy, and Tuukka Rask. Call 1-800-GET-HAIR for your free consultation. I'm John Wallach at Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 8 o'clock.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
Hey, it's Maz for Window Nation. Beat the heat with Window Nation's semi-annual sale going on right now. Buy 4 windows, get 4 windows free, and get a free entry door when you purchase a house full of windows. Plus, no money down, no interest, and no monthly payments until 2027. That's a whole lot of savings and a super smart investment when prices are going up. Their windows also come with a lifetime warranty, so you'll keep saving long into the future. Hurry, the sale ends soon, so don't wait to get your estimate. Call 866-90-NATION or visit WindowNation.com.
Visit the 99 restaurant the day after the Red Sox win and get a free kids meal with every adult entree purchased. The 99 restaurant, the official family restaurant of the Boston Red Sox.
Toucher and Hardy, and I teased the story before the break about how that I very well might have run afoul of the law or contributed to it, and I will explain.
I'm on Smart Time.
So, every day except for Wednesdays and Thursdays, I have to pick my daughter up from school around 2:20, and I got an ex-wife and a dog in a house that I used to. I'm still on the mortgage. I was so kind. I stayed on the mortgage so she didn't have to refinance. So it's still on my credit report, the home loan. But that's how big a man I am. So please recognize that. And so no, but
it sounds like you just didn't want to do more paperwork.
No.
What it feels like.
Well, it affects my credit rating. I mean, it's a substantial loan that is still under my name, even though it is not my property anymore. So how dare you? So, but when we financed that thing, the rates were way lower. Anyway, so yesterday I picked my daughter up from school, and I guess the cleaning people had been to my ex-wife's house. So she had put the dog, my old dog, in the crate. So you got to let the dog out of the crate, let the dog outside. So my ex-wife's house has a big backyard, fenced-in backyard. So I brought my dog. I always bring my dog when I pick up Zoe, because the dog gets all hyper and Zoe loves it, and it's a big, heartwarming thing. And so I pick up the dog, and I got the dog, pick up Zoe, go to my ex-wife's house, which is right down the street. I let my dog inside, as I often do, let Lemmy out of the crate, take the dogs, put them outside in this big backyard, and my daughter and I go to Chipotle. We go to Chipotle, we pick up food, we go back to my ex-wife's house, we eat the food. The dogs have come in now because, they just sit by the door. When you let dogs outside to let them run, they just sit by the window waiting to get back in.
Right.
You're like, what the hell are you doing? So Chipotle and back. That's all I did. Chipotle on Needham Street, not clean. Still went there. Very poorly run Chipotle.
All right.
This is anyone who's been there knows what I'm saying. Rude, but I still went there. That's what my daughter wanted. We eat, but so just they were outside from the time I went to Chipotle and time they came back. That was at 2:20 in the afternoon. So let's say they were outside from 2:30 to 3. My son texted me yesterday and he's like, "Dad, the police came to Mom's house." And I'm like, "Huh?" And he's like, "Yeah, there was a complaint." So I said, "Oh, really? But what's he know? He's just turned 17 and he can't communicate." So my ex-wife and I are talking.
Could have been an Amazon truck. He thought it was the police.
Seriously,
you're not sure.
like who knows?
There was a SWAT truck here.
But he wasn't wrong. So my ex-wife and I were talking, and she's like, "I'll take a picture of whatever is on my door when I get home." And she sent me a picture. It's from the Newton Police, animal control, and it just is not a ticket. It's not anything. It's just this orange thing, and something's crossed out, and they hand wrote animal control compartment, and it says alarm, message delivery, building check or other. It's checked other. Barking dog complaint, and this complaint the officer came by at 5:55, which was almost 3 hours since the dogs had been outside. My guess is that in fairness to the Newton Police, I apologize that you had to do this. Obviously, it wasn't number one on their list of things to do, but only in the half an hour that those dogs were in that backyard at 2:30 in the afternoon, someone called 911. Or the police,
whatever police.
I hope it wasn't 911. Called the police that the dogs were barking in the backyard, and then the poor police officer had to, at some point in his day, come out
3 hours later.
3 hours later, and put a note on the door because when he got, you can't give her a ticket. There's nothing going on when he went there. And by the way, Lemmy has been alive for like 7 years. Like Lemmy's lived in that house for 7 years. Has been in the backyard, I would speculate at least 5 hours in its lifetime. In her lifetime, the dog has been out in that backyard. You know, it goes to the bathroom out there occasionally. We like it when it goes inside, but sometimes we'll have the dog go to the bathroom outside. You know, it's this, you know, for Newton, a fairly large backyard that's completely fenced in. There's no way for the dogs to get out. It's almost like the fence is there so the dogs don't get out. It's crazy. Like this notion of that dogs would be outside when it's a nice day and to go to the bathroom and not be inside. But apparently they were making quite a racket at 2:30 in the afternoon that someone called the police. Jesus Christ. It can't have been a neighbor because the neighbors, they would have called the police 6 years ago. I have no idea what's going on. But then if you're the cops, you got to come by eventually.
Do you think there's a new neighbor anywhere nearby? Like somebody just moved in around there?
Look, I'm there a lot, but I don't live there anymore, so I don't know. I don't know like the goings on in that neighborhood. I only live 0.3 miles away from there. Which I'm very happy because there's so much back and forth. But I'm only 0.3 miles. I own a place. You've been there, 0.3 miles away. And but I'm not familiar with everything that's going on in that neighborhood. I'm not like tuned into it. I do know the neighbors on either side of her, and there's no way they called the police. And unless someone moved in behind her, but still, it's just like the most random thing. You can I guess you can, file a noise complaint at 2:30 in the afternoon. I mean, there's all kinds of crap going on. Jesus Christ. They had a work truck. I should have called you. They had a work truck in front of my place.
Doing what?
Something to the street.
Jackhammer?
Yeah. Like when I was in my basement watching TV, like the ground was vibrating. So if you could jackhammer a residential street at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, you can certainly have dogs barking. What the hell's going on? Complaining about the dogs barking. Get out of here with that. Bothering everyone. Now the guy's got to come. The cop's got to come by the house. He comes by the house, nothing's going on. He can't do anything. He just puts a thing that he was there.
So the notice that was left on the door wasn't a citation. It wasn't a warning.
No,
it wasn't a call to action. It was
you
just...
tell me what it is.
Okay.
Here it is.
Okay.
It doesn't have my address. I don't even care.
Your neighbors don't like you.
Well, number one, it's got a door hanger spot on it. So generally those are not very official. It's not something that got stuck to the door.
Yeah.
It looks like a do not disturb thing.
Yeah. You're looking at the hotel.
Newton Police, emergency dial, business dial, property, officer, date, time, police services, other, barking dogs complaint. Yep, that's it.
And he had to handwrite animal control on it. Like there wasn't even a thing to check.
Oh, it's animal control department. So yeah, I don't even know.
I don't even know if it was a cop. Yeah.
No, this wasn't the police.
All right, well, so it wasn't even the police, but poor animal control guys got to come over there. I don't get it. I don't understand how you. I don't know who's calling the police because now there's a feud. You got to figure there's a feud now. You know, because I got news for you. The dogs are going outside again. Like there's no way that's not happening on a regular basis.
You were gone a half an hour.
I don't care if I was gone. It was a half an hour.
No, I just find it remarkable that
I know
that half hour.
That makes it like even more absurd. But even if the dogs were out there for an hour and a half, I don't care. Right. Deal with it.
Yeah,
it's noise.
Based on the officer's name, a quick search finds that they are an animal control officer in Newton.
Look at you.
Yeah.
Inspector Clouseau over here.
I would say that's what happened there. Okay.
Well, yeah. I mean, what are they going to do? Like, take away the house? I mean, by the time they got
stiff talking to, sir.
By the time they got there, it'd been 3 hours since the dog was even outside. So I don't really know what they want to do. I would find it far more cruel to keep the dog in the crate all day than to let her outside with another dog.
There you go. Leave the dog in the crate for 8 hours.
Or how about have the dog loose, that crazy ass dog loose when the cleaning people come, so that you don't know what that dog's all erratic. You don't know what that dog's gonna do. So there you go. I ran afoul of the law. I was at least complicit, or maybe I wasn't. Maybe the dog was barking inside at 5:30. I wasn't there at 5:30. My dog wasn't there at 5:30. But if you're hearing me and you're the person who called the cops, there's a big feud now. Now it's a Hatfield-McCoy situation. Because I got news for you. That dog's going to bark again at some point. I can't stop it from
Dump some
barking.
motor oil in the base of your trees. Drive some railroad spikes in them. I won't kill them.
There will be no retaliatory measures taken, but there certainly will be talk behind backs and side eyes when seen.
Oh.
It will get to that level of pettiness.
Do you have an idea? If it was a neighbor, do you have an idea which one?
No, because the neighbors I know have all lived there throughout all of Lemmy's life, so I have no idea. This is not an unusual scenario. The two of them are in that backyard often. I don't know. I don't know what made yesterday different, but there you go. All right. When we come back, our man was on the air yesterday on another radio station. Our man Gary Tanguay, and he loves it when we play his audio, and we will do so post haste.
Toucher and Hardy, Zolak and Bertrand, Felger and Maz, Joe Murray. For Boston sports fans, it's 98.5, the Sports Hub. Paisley Media Group Station. Sports Hub headlines, presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Mike Trout had 3 hits, including a 3-run homer, and Joe Adell added a pair of solo shots. The Angels held off the Red Sox 7-6 at Fenway Park. Red Sox are down 6-0 after the top of the first inning and spent the rest of the night just getting close enough to lose by 1 run again. Alex Cora insists his team is better than you think.
Yeah, it's been like that the whole season. We played well in Kansas City, and then the first game in Detroit was a tough one. Going into Tampa, the first one was a tough one. We just, we're not that far off. I totally believe that, but we have to, make sure we start off series the right way. I think that's how you do it, right?
Red Sox are 6-16 in 1-run games this season. They'll pitch Brian Bayo against the Angels tonight. Patriots had Stefon Diggs on the field at their voluntary OTA yesterday in Foxborough. He was out there in a limited capacity, but he was out there after his much talked about boat video last week. The NFL Network is reporting the Patriots have no plans to cut him. Patriots center David Andrews officially announced his retirement yesterday, and in a social media post, so did Detroit Pro Bowl center Frank Ragnow at the age of 29. And women's top seed Aryna Sabalenka has won today to reach the semifinals of the French Open tennis tournament. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Eastern Massachusetts, leader in drain cleaning and pipelining. Drains by James. Slow drain, clogged drain. You need to contact Drains by James today at drainsbyjames.com. I'm John Wallach on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 8:30.
Get
There's the potential there for big stuff.
98.5 The Sports Hub app. Get the app. Half Toucher.
Dressed like a gorilla.
Half Hardy.
A big, beautiful ball of flame.
And a whole lot of Boston sports.
And I have had many offers to become an insider.
Sports Hub.
Well, good evening. How are we doing? I'm cold. Tired of the cold. Now I know what it's like to be old. In for Dan Ray. Chopped up the ice.
Come on, y'all, it's time to get nice.
Yeah, Gary Tangway. Hey, we're Toucher and Hardy. You can watch us live on YouTube. The videos are up forever unless something controversial happens and they have to be taken down, which has not happened in quite some time. So maybe today. We were talking earlier, defending our boy Pablo Torre against the attacks of Bill Simmons. Bill Simmons called him out on talking about the Belichick thing. Just very quickly, an interesting email from Rob, a listener. It says, "Good morning, Lombardi." Lombardi, the idiot that Belichick hired to be his GM.
Yeah.
The guy who sacrificed his dignity and career for, 10, 12 years to make $1 million?
Yeah.
It sacrificed 12 years worth of salary to make $1 million. People are like, he's making $1 million. I'm like, well, extrapolate that over 10 or 12 years. He's not making, would you have sacrificed your testicles for $1 million? I don't think so.
Didn't have a budding empire the last decade.
Yeah, that's $100,000 a year, which is less than Newton teachers make. I know, because of the strike. Good morning. Lombardi used to work for Bill Simmons. My logical theory is that Lombardi tried to get Jordan a job or podcast at The Ringer to keep her busy, and Bill Simmons said, hell no, and Pablo Torre has something on this. I stand with Pablo. Thanks for covering this, Rob. Well, we do know that Bill Belichick was trying to get Jordan jobs, that he was like leveraging his celebrity to try to get her gigs in media. He certainly leveraged his celebrity to get her on a Dunkin' Donuts commercial for no reason, which the more I think about it, the more cringy that is. Wouldn't you be so humiliated if during the Super Bowl, if it went like Ben Affleck, Bill Belichick, the Succession guy, and then it said Jordan, or it said Wallach? Well, you're on the radio even. That would make more sense. Just if or it said your wife's name, if I would be mortified, because everyone would know the only reason you were there is because you were letting a 73-year-old inside of you. I'm being dead serious. Like, it's really like douche chilly. Like, you got to be a real moron to want to be in that. Like it's you haven't done anything. Like the only conceivable notion, and they put her name up too, Jordan, as if like people go, oh, Jordan.
Yeah, we're supposed to know. We're supposed to know who that is.
Yeah, you're the guy that let the other guy in the commercial, the ugly one, have sex with you. Like the other two guys, like we get, but not this one. Ben Affleck's banging you. Congratulations.
And so many of the things that she's doing or that Bill is doing for her are just like normal 24-year-old things, like asking everyone that he comes into contact with to give her a job. Oh, you should hire her. You should do this. Yeah, and I'm not talking about place her in a commercial, but hire her as a PR person, hire her as a media consultant, which is what a lot of people out of college ask of their father or father's friends, or in this case, grandfather, to help them out with. Hey, maybe you can get me in there. Maybe you can get my foot in the door. But she's supposed to have like some position of control and ownership out of these companies. Why would she need a job, Fred? It's very confusing.
Saturday Night Live has a long history of Lorne Michaels hiring celebrity friends of his kids, but to be pages, like to be essentially lowly paid interns, like a Vanderbilt, right? Anderson Cooper, like that. I don't know if he was a page, but like guys like that, like real like American royalty. Lorne Michaels will hire their kids, but to be pages. I know at like Time Life, when magazines were like a big thing, like heiresses would get jobs, but like as researchers, not to be on the masthead of the like an assistant editor at Time, or a head writer at Saturday Night Live. Like, yeah, I'll get your kid a job, but it's going to be a low-level job at a very big, prestigious firm or company or show, but I'm not going to pop you on the masthead right away, or give you my front page story. That's really unusual. Really, really unusual. Like, you'd help your kid get a job, but real people don't just go, okay, yeah, take over the company, or here you go. It's like the Curb Your Enthusiasm, where the lady wants to be on Larry's show, and she's completely unqualified. She's going too high with it. All right, well, there you go. I thought that was very interesting, Rob. Thank you. Perhaps that is what Pablo knows. All I know is I wouldn't want to be in his crosshairs. All right, our boy Gary Tanguay, who is a triple threat, radio, TV, and literature. He wrote The Arm in the Fall, the fictional story of a Super Bowl quarterback whose arm was found in the sea.
Quadruple threat, educator.
But she was a cop.
Well,
a cop's cop.
I don't give him credit for that, because he just basically audits the class by letting you guys host it or teach it. Gary Tanguay sometimes goes on WSB radio, our competitor. Please don't listen. Oh, WSB, that's Atlanta. WBZ, which is our call letters too.
Yeah.
WBZ AM.
Right.
And we love it when he does. He loves it when we talk about it. We love Gary very much. Here is Gary Tanguay on WBZ AM, where he does political talk.
It's Nighttime with Dan Ray on WBZ, Boston's News Radio.
Madison, thank you so much. I'm back, ladies and gentlemen. I am back. Big show tonight. And I was thinking last night, we talked about the Demula situation.
Huh? Damoon?
Demula.
I don't know what that is.
That's a market. With the CEO got voted out. 12 knows more about this.
Yes, it's the whole market basket situation.
Oh, yes.
Power to the people. All right. The big market basket situation that I've been...
The family, right?
I've been locked in on.
Yeah.
And I was thinking last night, we talked about the Demula situation. And that's a heavy topic because we're dealing with family drama. We're dealing with jobs, and then...
We're dealing with the idea for a new book. Yeah, market casket. There was a murder at a grocery store. Check it out.
It gives checkout a whole new meaning.
This guy's not going to fit in the casket. He's too big. What are we going to do? Chop him up. Just chop him up and jam it all in. It's real gross. I'm getting into gore porn. It's going to be a real sick read. Market casket. Write it down, Joanne, or whoever's name I just said.
You behind the glass.
Yeah, you behind the glass. Get to dictation. Here we go. Intro, scene. grocery store.
Hit the commercials or don't. I don't care. We're doing this now.
Joe was at the grocery store. He opened up the freezer. Jesus Christ, is an eyeball. What's looking at me? Some dead stuff. All right, these are just broad ideas. We'll get down. This is going to take years, man.
You're just outlining right now.
It's tape that index card onto the bulletin board. We're building it piece by piece, baby, brick by brick.
Also, of course, we're talking about murder trials.
Time.
And then I thought tonight's going to be a little lighter. Tonight we're going to have some fun, right? We're going to lighten things up. We're going to talk to Dan Shaughnessy of the Boston Globe about the Celtics and how things went this year.
Dan, half hour, go. Dan, Celtics, your thoughts. The floor is yours.
Celtics, talk about them.
Celtics, go. Oh, Jesus. 2 minutes. Dan, keep going.
And remind everybody that the Celtics in the 80s, they won 3 championships, but never back-to-back, and how hard that is to do. And that if you haven't read Dan's book, I Wish It Lasted Forever, you should check it out. We are going to talk to Mac Dooley from Sudbury, Massachusetts, who just won a national title with the Cornell men's lacrosse team. And we're not just talking lax, bro. We're talking about how to raise a student athlete, which I think parents, me being one of them, we make a lot of mistakes.
Oh, geez, Louise.
Bro.
Oh, boy, the mistakes.
Rocky Suarez made more mistakes than she could count.
Rocky Suarez made the mistake of not wearing a bra on a cold day. No one keep their eyes off those two perky areolas.
And I don't want to say Matt's
There's
parent.
the size of coffee cup saucers.
If that's your thing, then let's just say you'd be happy.
Silver dollar pancakes. That's chapter title. Write that down.
Write it down. Market casket. What's that, a boob? In the melons.
And I don't want to say Matt's parents, Bob and Amy Dooley, are perfect, but they're pretty damn close. Well,
as you can tell, I have a previous relationship with him. Lacrosse coach from Cornell, you got a half hour.
We're not just talking lax, bro.
Yeah, thoughts on parenting. What's the deal with those baskets on lacrosse stick? Maybe that could market basket, lacrosse casket. I don't know. It all fits. Just keep all these ideas. They're flowing now. I'm Kerouacking this bitch. I'm going to snort some amphetamine and just stay up for 2 days typing.
Stream of consciousness.
It's going to be a big scroll.
Radio show / novel writing.
Yeah. Shaughnessy, you're my Neil Cassidy. Let's go. Market casket. See? It all comes from a seed. Now let's watch it grow.
Well, Amy is. Bob, I don't want Bob Dools to get a swell head. The freak from the left coast, the moderate, which means he's a reactionary in Hollywood. Sam Metler joins us at 10 o'clock to talk everything Trump and politics. And if you're up at 11 o'clock tonight, Sam's a great take because he just blasts everybody. Democrats, Republicans, independents. He just lets everybody have it.
Yeah, this is my style of radio. Sitting on the fence. All right, here we go. Here's
Is he
him
going to the phones?
I don't know.
He did go to the phones later on, but there was nothing. He wasn't getting a lot of calls for these particular shows. Do you want to do this other clip here, Fred, or do you want to hang on to it for tomorrow and we can go to break and talk to RJ? Because the other clip he waxes nostalgic on his experience going to the grocery store as a young man. So you might want to have some time to play with that one.
Okay. All right. Well, if you feel it will take too long, then we can play it tomorrow. Oh, boy.
Murder trials.
All right.
We're not just talking lax.
What time
bro.
is it now? 8:03. Jesus Christ. Only 3 minutes? All right. Here we go.
Bro.
We got a series of people that have had children on the show tonight.
counting down his show like Bill Burr counted down his stand-up set for
Philly.
Philadelphia,
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to start roasting MFers now. This show's just about parents. If you've had anything come out of your body, call us. You know? This is about moms. You know, Mother's Day was a month ago. It's just killing time at night.
Last Mother's Day, this month Father's Day, so we're going to talk about people.
This is about people with legs. Working or not working, it don't matter to Gary.
Now Rocky had a cut-off leg to deal with.
Gary's on the phone. Go ahead, Gary.
Oh, we're riffing. I heard you guys riff. You real missed opportunity on the long pole, boys. That's a chapter all in itself.
Yeah, there was a long pole at the market casket.
It was right in the box. You got to mark it with the X.
Holy moly. This dead guy's wife was one happy lady, if you know what I'm saying. All right.
The Simon Case at market casket. It's quite an undertaking. Write that down.
Right this. Oh, look at this cadaver. We got a bunch of oddities. Let's start a small circus, a freak show, right? Rocky Suarez was now in the business of formaldehyde in jars.
Today we're gonna have some fun.
Yeah, it's just gonna start a freak show with weird dead body stuff.
Going in a really different direction with this Rocky.
Yeah. Rocky Suarez started to become a collector of medical oddities. Yeah. This is all riffing. Just write it all down and put it in your pipe and smoke it. Go to Doubleday on this one. Penguin's advancing enough.
The arm and the monkey head and the Franz Ferdinand penis.
Yeah.
That's all one book.
And this thing from the Revolutionary War that they dug up was some kind of remove stuff. Anyway, you know, pop it whenever you want. Shaughnessy, I'm going to be writing while you're on here. Ryan Johnson will join us in just a moment. Obviously, he has been around this Bruins team, a lot of holes to fill, and also a coach to be named, which could be as early as today, I suppose. We will
10:01.
Exactly. That's when they do announce things. It tends to be at 10 in the morning. We'll talk to Ryan in just a moment. He'll give us 20 full minutes. All right, we'll be right back.
You're listening to Toucher and Heidi on the Sports Hub.
in sports. And it is all we do. 98.5, the Sports Hub. What's the best way to listen to Toucher and Hardy?
Well, you're going to have to spend $40.
Cough it up, and let's get back to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
It's said to be down to what? 3 guys?
2 guys.
2 guys now.
2 guys, according to Pierre LeBrun. 2 finalists, neither of which he named, but 2 guys, and a hire is expected sometime early this week.
All right, so that could come as early today. And you heard in that clip at 9 a.m. news drop, they do happen at 10 a.m. as a rule. And that's not just to be self-effacing. That's usually when drops happen. For whatever reason, 10 o'clock is the chosen time. Ryan Johnston is, of course, a good friend of ours. He's done hundreds of these morning shows, has various illnesses and fits have kept people away, and he has been kind enough to fill in.
When you had your fit?
Not just me.
Okay.
Is the voice of Boston Bruins on 98.5, the Sports Hub. Some would argue that I missed the least amount of time throwing fits.
You know the drill, RJ. Bruins coach, go.
Yeah, 20 minutes. You're on the clock.
Go.
Filibuster.
Entertain us.
All right. Ryan, how you doing?
Doing good. How are you guys?
We are good. Now you're a road warrior. You did a full season as the play-by-play voice of the Boston Bruins. Is it weird not to be on the road now? Is it like when bands get off the road and they have trouble adjusting?
It is. It's not just not being on the road. It's just not working is an odd thing for me. You know, my entire adult life, I've worked, mostly 7 days a week and, done weekends at the Sports Hub forever, and now I'm not doing much of anything. So I'm happy to be filling in with you guys a few times over the next few weeks here.
Oh, good. All right. Well, that's good to know that you're doing that. All right. So are there responsibilities that you have in the offseason? Like, how do you have to even, like, how much are you dealing with the team? Do you have to go do, like, public relations stuff? Like, what, or do you pretty much just, like, see you later?
Yeah, I pretty much have the entire summer off with the exception of, when, events come up. If, when they name a new head coach and there's a press conference, I'm sure I'll go, but I won't have any real official responsibilities there or anything like that. So, been playing a lot of golf and filling the hours.
Now you got Hardy all excited. Hardy wants to play by
play. Hardy.
Yeah. How's that been going? How's the game?
It's getting back into form.
Okay.
It's been playing a lot, but not seeing the work pay off quite yet.
When they do announce the coach, though, Ryan, you and Bob will have a sit down with them, presumably to kind of establish a relationship. Wouldn't that be part of the protocol?
I would hope so. Since the two of us will be interviewing this person, every game all season long. So yeah, it's nice to have a little bit of rapport there, and depending on who it is, one or both of us might have a previous relationship with the coach, because obviously Marco Sturm is one of the names that's out there. Beersy would know Marco from his first time around here. Mitch Love is one of the other names that keeps getting tossed out there. Mitch Love actually played for our team in Lowell when I was calling games in the American Hockey League.
Oh, wow.
So have a little bit of a background with him, as I did with Joe Sacco, who was a coach on that team. So, hockey is a small world, so it won't take long to hopefully make friends with whoever the person is.
What is your take on the way it looks like the Bruins are going here? Younger head coach, more relatable to the players.
Yeah, I think one of the things that we talked about toward the end of the season on the hockey show was, the direction that the organization wants to take with this hire will tell you, it should tell you a lot about the direction of what the roster is going to look like and, what they anticipate this team to be over the next, few years. And so if you're going with a guy who doesn't have NHL head coaching experience, which neither one of those guys do, and I don't know if they're, I've seen the reports as everybody else has. I don't know, whether they're the two, finalists or whether there's somebody else in the mix or what have you. But it tells you, it should, about where they think this franchise is going to be. If you're bringing in a guy like Marco Sturm or Mitch Love, there's going to be some learning on the job that needs to be done. And, it's not – that's more of a developmental situation perhaps than if you brought in, a more experienced former NHL head coach, you brought in, for instance, a Peter Laviolette or somebody along those lines. That would be an indication that you think, you're going to have a more veteran team who doesn't necessarily need as much hand-holding, perhaps, who, is going to be a contender a little bit more quickly than if you're going to bring in a first-time NHL head coach. And so that's kind of my biggest takeaway is, as I've seen the names that are being floated around, it's, this is, perhaps more of a, I won't say a rebuild, they've been using the word retool, but I think it falls more into that vein that you're expecting more younger players who are going to need a little bit more time to develop and will grow into their jobs the same way the coach grows into his.
Okay, because there, as we said at the beginning of this, there's a ton of holes to fill. And this free agency class is pretty interesting, and it starts at the top where there's a unique talent to be available in free agency at the age they are, and that's Mitch Marner.
Premium offensive talent, still in his 20s.
Yeah, 28 years old. Yeah. But it's believed he'll be the highest, with the rise in the salary cap and everything, that he'd be the highest paid player ever. Is that, if you're the Bruins, would you make that bold a move? Would you give that much of your cap to one guy?
Yeah, I mean, listen, as you said, there's a lot of holes that need to be filled. I do believe that the Bruins, a player of Mitch Marner, every team in the league would benefit from having a player like that on the team. Is it worth $13, $14, $15 million a year? If you're getting into that, that ballpark. Well, I mean, look at where the Bruins are right now. You have to, I assume they're going to re-sign Morgan Geekie, who's a restricted free agent. But the year that he had, how much is that going to cost, and how long a term of a contract is he looking for, and is the team looking for? You start to take a look at when you have 26, 28. I don't remember exactly what the number is. Cap space, $26 million or whatever it is. Well, if he's worth 14, let's say, on the open market, and that's what he's looking for, and then you've got, Geekie, who is going to need a significant increase. Well, now you've eaten up most of your available cap space, unless you're looking to, to potentially make more room by trading someone away. And you still have multiple defensive positions that need to get filled. John, you mentioned, they have 5 guys, as forwards who are basically locks to make the team next year. Everybody else is, you've got under contract as kind of a tweener or is a restricted free agent. And so you're talking about a lot of spaces to fill that even if you're putting in minimum salary guys, you're going to run out of space. And so that's the difficulty that, even with the cap going up, the difficulty that you'll find in signing a guy like Marner is somebody is going to give him a ridiculous amount of money, and it's probably going to be worth it. It's just a question of how do you build your roster with him and Pasternak making 11 plus, and Elias Lindholm's money and McAvoy's money and Hampus Lindholm's money and Swayman's money. I mean, that's a lot of big ticket guys to be to have all on one roster.
Okay, so I bet you, if anything, if Sam Bennett was available last offseason, he would have been the guy that they targeted. A center that's a big playoff performer. He fits that Bruins mold. He's not an elite scorer, but he's a very tough. Sam Bennett is probably the second tier of free agents like this. But that, at his age, he's 29. They definitely would have been in on him last offseason, but they whiffed on that Elias Lindholm deal. So you would think that kind of free agent, what would you think about the possibility of signing someone like that? Late 20s, not elite skill set, but like more of a playoff guy. Does that fit in with anything that the Bruins would be interested in?
Yeah, again, I think that goes to what do you think your team's going to be here? Now, I listen, Sam Bennett is one of those guys that you absolutely would love to have on your team. You hate, like a Brad Marchand, you hate him when he's against you, but you'd absolutely love to go to war with that guy. If you think you're going to be a contender here in the next few years, then a guy like Bennett makes a lot of sense. Because he is, as you mentioned, a legit playoff performer. He's got the Stanley Cup pedigree, and there's a significant value to having guys like that who have been there and done it before. But he's also, he's not a guy who's going to score you 40 goals and put up 100 points. He's a 40-point, 50-point guy. You can get 20 plus goals out of him, but he's not going to be, your superstar offensively. And so how much are you going to be willing to extend yourself? Also, coming from Florida and going to a final 3 years in a row and trying to win his second cup back-to-back years, does he want to go to a team that is in the middle of a retool? Does he, if he ends up leaving Florida, is he going to be looking for the most money? Is he going to be looking to continue to win? Where does his value fall in that regard? I think that certainly enters into it. But that's a guy that, to me, is a big piece to your puzzle if you think you're going to be able to contend for a Stanley Cup in the next few years.
And just real quickly, John, it's not just for next year because that's a tough case to make. But the year after that, that's when you start playing it out and thinking to yourself, okay, it makes more sense for 2 years from now and certainly 3 years from now than it does for next year.
Someone's got to score goals on this team, though. And you got to – I might err on the side of production than on playoff toughness. John, a final question for Ryan.
We know Jeremy Swayman was up and down all season long for the Bruins, but performed very, very well for the U.S. team that won the World Cup last month. Is that a good thing? Can we take something away from that performance?
I mean, I certainly hope so. And I think, that seemed to be how Jeremy took it. It was, he felt like, he was in, close to top form, playing at the World Championships, playing against good competition. They end up winning the gold. So, good on him. Listen, I think a lot was made last season of the fact that he did not have a training camp, that he wasn't really, after they got that deal done at the last minute, it was kind of an odd situation, and he never really found his game. I think there certainly were some defensive deficiencies in front of him throughout the course of the season for various reasons. I think, they were still trying to kind of get things together early on in the season, and the team was struggling there. And then after the coaching change, it felt like it calmed down a little bit. But then later on in the season, with the injuries to McAvoy and Hampus Lindholm being out for a good chunk of the year, it just, defensively in front of him wasn't great. And so I think, when you combine the fact that those guys hopefully will be healthy right out of camp, that Swayman will have a training camp this coming year, and that his confidence level will be high coming out of winning a world championship, hopefully we'll see him get back to the form that we became accustomed to.
All right. Well, Ryan, enjoy the offseason, and when they get a coach and make some moves, we'd like to have you on again, and obviously you'll be filling in as vacation this summer comes around. We always appreciate the time. Ryan Johnson, the voice of your Boston Bruins. Thank you, Ryan.
Good to talk to you guys.
All right,
Thanks,
take
Ryan.
it easy. There you go. You know what I want to do next is we got a little bit of time. I want to get into more media on media stuff. There are new things coming out about the Pat McAfee introductions to the Knicks game when he called out the celebrities in attendance. And there has been a response to the response of John Cougar Mellencamp. And there also has, I found out yesterday, I heard on another radio show, Howard Stern, that there was a guy he didn't call out that was in Indiana for that game. A celebrity that was seated among the other celebrities that he just so happened to leave out for whatever reason.
A Knicks fan that was there,
yes,
sitting amongst the other Knicks fans that he called out.
A native New Yorker celebrity fan that was there that he managed to avoid. And Ben Stiller talked about it, but we don't need the audio of that. But it is kind of funny that he left the guy out. Here are the headlines.
Essential Sports Hub headline presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Red Sox have now lost 5 out of 7. They were down 6-0 after the top of the first inning, rallied, but then lost to the Angels 7-6 at Fenway Park. Mike Trout, a 3-run homer for the winners. Jaron Duran, 3 hits for the Red Sox. Brian Bayo faces the Angels tonight. In Patriots news, they had Stefon Diggs on the field at their voluntary OTA in Foxborough yesterday. The NFL Network is reporting the team has no plans to cut him. In other NFL news, Patriots center David Andrews officially announced his retirement yesterday, and in a social media post, so did Detroit Pro Bowl center Frank Ragnow, saying his injuries had become too tough to overcome. He is 29 years old. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by the FM Championship, returning to TPC Boston August 28th through the 31st. Spend Labor Day weekend watching the top LPGA athletes in action live. To buy tickets and learn more, visit fmchampionship.com today. I'm John Wallach on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 9 o'clock.
Toucher and Hardy, 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Hey, it's Maz for Rodenheiser, and if you need more space at home, an ADU, that's an accessory dwelling unit, could be the answer. Rodenheiser Home Services builds custom ADUs.
talking about.
Here's more of The Thing on the Sports Hub.
Hey, we're Toucher and Hardy, and now that the Pacers are playing Oklahoma City, we can all stop paying attention to the NBA until July 1st, when things will open up for the Celtics again, and we'll see how they handle this offseason. But if you recall, Pat McAfee, who was a punter for the Colts and who does his show from Indianapolis, and what happens is, if you're a city like Indianapolis, when a guy decides to stay and do something of note in town, you become like an icon. So there's no doubt that Pat McAfee is justifiably an icon. I think his show sucks, but justifiably an icon in Indiana. There's very few of them, but two of them are feuding, and here is what let it all off.
Indianapolis, Indiana. We got some big wigs from the big city in the building. Spike Lee is here. Ben Stiller is here. Timothy Chalamet is here. Let's send these sons of bitches back to New York with their ears ringing. Let's turn this on.
All right, so he does that, and then Ben Stiller was interviewed after, and he said, whatever, I didn't know who the guy is. It's a little absurd that he's doing this Knicks versus Hicks thing, but he's like a wrestling guy. That's how he said it. But he also made an interesting point that 50 Cent was there as well, sitting right there. And funny enough, Pat McAfee, full well knowing that 50 Cent was right there, decided to leave 50 Cent out of that. So Pat McAfee said, 50 Cent, I am not so into you, but feuding is fun. And John Mellencamp, who's obviously way more famous than Pat McAfee and has done far more in his life, but he came out after. He said the Knicks-Pacers games have been very entertaining for anyone who likes basketball or sports. I attended Game 4 in Indianapolis. Hoosier hospitality. I was embarrassed when someone under whose direction I don't know called out some people that had made the trip up from New York to support the team and to turn support our team. The audience booed these people. I'd say that's not Hoosier hospitality. One could only say it's poor sportsmanship. I was not proud to be Hoosier, and I've lived here my entire life. So a fairly bland response from Mellencamp. And also it does, if I was in Indiana, I'd be like, all right, what are we doing? Now we're pretending that, let's be less hicky about this whole thing. But it's, Mellencamp, as responses go, I don't think that was that much of a call out. Here's how Pat McAfee responded on his show.
Now, when the Knicks are playing in Gainbridge.
With a dumb Pittsburgh accent.
Now, when the Knicks are playing in Gainbridge, I believe there is going to be some booze. There might be some negative things said towards the other team.
I hope not.
There might be.
It better not be.
That is kind of how sports work, I think.
Not if we're there.
Well, now, going forward, we are going to be an agent of only good things at sports stuff happening. Only positive cheers going forward. Because that will make John Cougar Mellencamp happy. What a moment for John Coug yesterday.
Oh, you mean Hoosier hospitality?
What's that?
You mean Hoosier hospitality?
That's right. In quotes like this.
Mr.
Coug Mellencamp. I don't know what he thought he was doing with that particular quote tweet. I respect and appreciate the fact that he said, you know what? I've made a pretty good living over the last few years, grandstanding higher than anybody else on everything.
Yeah.
This feels like a good time to do that right now. And he puts out this horrendous quote tweet. I mean, this horrendous graphic. John, can't tell you how bad everything you did here was. Everything. The graphic, the quote, the timing. You're 2 days late, John. You're 2 days late, bub. Puts this thing out there. Doesn't even say my name.
No.
John, shut the up.
All right, so he goes, shut the F up. He's very into wrestling, Pat McAfee. Everything has this, like, corny wrestling vibe to it. Like heel turns and baby faces and everything. He's a real clown. Not like a clown, like an actual clown, like a performing donkey show, like a clown, like with a nose on. It's all like this elaborate act. It's not, authenticity is not the Pat McAfee brand.
Okay? They put this out, calls me somebody. Okay? I am somebody.
All right. He doesn't know who you are, McAfee. Like, people don't know who you are. Have some self-awareness. You do a midday show on ESPN. You're not, like, ubiquitous. If Mellencamp doesn't follow college football or wrestling or have ESPN on it at 10 o'clock in the morning, it is possible not to know you. You know, you are not the biggest celebrity in the history of the world. You're not like De Niro. He's not. I don't think you have to pretend not to know who Pat McAfee is.
No. Pat McAfee, at the very least, Fred, not a household name, but certainly between John Mellencamp and Pat McAfee, it's not even a discussion. People will know who John Mellencamp is, and it's quite plausible that people don't know who Pat McAfee is.
Don't you think McAfee's got to be kind of a dick to really think that someone's pretending not to know who he is?
Yes.
Like that, what, an ego on you.
Self-pretentious.
You're very, like, what? It's impossible that he doesn't know who you are because you're on ESPN? So if Dan Patrick's there, like, everyone's like, oh my God, Dan Patrick. I don't, like, look, he likes the Pacers. He lives in Indiana. Maybe he just wanted to, why does everyone have to know who you are with your wrestling?
And I normally don't want people to just get slaughtered. You know, because I know we have a very active following. And
it's a real Opie and Anthony in 1997 we're doing now. Get the pests on them. What an original concept. How about everyone gets on you with your stupid clowny wrestling garbage that you do? Least authentic human being on the planet. Oh, his show sucks.
Because I know we have a very active following, and I appreciate the hell out of those people. They are very kind. The people that have followed our story are the greatest people on earth, because there's a lot of times they could have just said, nope, we're not doing this.
Yeah, what a struggle you've been through. Nope, not doing it, nope. A big struggle that you've been through. You've overcome so much with your punting.
Anymore. They've stuck with us. They are active, though. And
they've stuck with you through all the trials and tribulations. You're making tens of millions of dollars, dickhead. Yeah, real struggle. Everything's wrestling. Now he's Captain Underdog. It's a real underdog. I can't do a Pittsburgh accent, even though I was born there. You're embarrassing Mount Lebanon Hospital.
They like us, John. I know you probably talk to people that say they don't like me, you know, and you probably read from journal. We know who you hang and who you listen to, John. So you probably read a lot of people that don't like me.
Now it's like this woke thing that John Mellencamp is so woke.
That's what it is.
And Pat McAfee is so anti-establishment and speaking truth to power that John Mellencamp is just this hapless woke idiot that doesn't know who Pat McAfee is. But Pat McAfee's theory is that Mellencamp knows exactly who he is feigning ignorance, and this is part of the elaborate woke media's attack on the Pat McAfee show that is a voice of the everyman speaking truth to power.
Fred, it's a conspiracy.
Yeah. Meanwhile, go get body slammed again at a dumb wrestling event, you stupid hick.
I don't think you or your team had any idea that there might be people that are on my side, John. So I hope whenever you opened your ex account, if it is you seen what everybody did, and you could have taken the angle and be like, hey.
So his idea is that Mellencamp, who's a famous international musician, should really take a gander at his replies on Twitter, and that'll show him. I mean, this guy's a child.
Pouring over social media to make sure.
When was the last time you said all-out attack someone on Twitter? Ooh. Like Mellencamp sitting at home going, oh boy, I'm really, these dumbasses that I could care less about are really taking shots at me. You're really controlling the narrative, McAfee. Congratulations. The world's a safer place with you in it.
There's some people attacking Pat for what he did. I'm actually on Pat's side because we represent this state of Indiana. We're lucky and thankful to represent this state of Indiana. We don't have a lot of people pulling for it.
Shut up. I can't even play it anymore. I really can't play it anymore. He annoys me so much. Everything's wrestling. I represent the state of Indiana. Look, I know how it is. You stayed in Indiana to do your show. As Indiana goes, you're a big star. But this idea that everything is a wrestling feud and that you somehow it's ridiculous that John Mellencamp doesn't know who you are. And even if he does, he's part of this woke mob that's attacking the truth to power foot soldiers of the righteous that is the Pat McAfee show. He sucks. So F him. Let's all go listen to John Mellencamp all day today. All right, Paper and Fire. That's where you start.
Lonesome Jubilee is the album, yeah.
All right, there you go.
Yeah.
You're on point. You know the catalog. All right, we'll be back in just a moment.
Stay tuned for more Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
All right, look.
6 years, I've met some amazing people, been places I never imagined, and done things I never dreamed of. You've taught me so much about myself and life while letting me get to play a child's game and call it a job.
He wasn't the only center to retire either. Pro Bowl center Frank Ragnow in Detroit announced his retirement yesterday at the age of 29, saying it was time to prioritize his health. And in tennis news, women's top seed Aryna Sabalenka is one to reach the semifinals of the French Open. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by the 99 Restaurants. Visit the Nines the day after the Red Sox win and get a free kids meal with every adult entree purchased. You gotta love the Nines. I'm John Wallach on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 9:30.
Here we go.
Boom. I win. Kaboom.
Yeah. It's so funny. We've got a passion for Boston sports. Get angry. 98.5 The Sports Hub. Toucher and Hardy.
Such an fantastic explosion.
98.5.
All right.
That's right. That's the album he dropped the Cougar altogether.
It was Johnny Cougar.
It was John Cougar up in, through American Fool, and then which came out in '83. He went to John Cougar Mellencamp, and that continued through Scarecrow, which is a really good album. And then by the time he got to Lonesome Jubilee, it was just John Mellencamp.
But he was Johnny Cougar when he first came out, I believe. The first record, because they were trying to make him like a teen idol.
Those are the American Bandstand days. We've talked about that video. Ain't even done with the night. They had like 17 cheerleaders on the stage with him, and he's wearing the white shirt and the jeans with the loafers. They were doing everything they could to skew him that way.
Yeah, they were trying to make him a teen idol. American Bandstand, that's embarrassing.
Lil Johnny Cougar.
Yeah.
Or maybe he was eating like solid gold. Some show he had no business.
No, it was American Bandstand.
Yeah, that tracks because it was 1976. Johnny Cougar, Chestnut Street incident.
Yeah, he was on American Bandstand. The bigger the band in terms of size and members, the funnier they are on American Bandstand because they're obviously not playing. They're not even plugged in. There's not even any like feigning of playing.
I don't even think his band was out there with him.
Yeah.
I think he was just by himself dancing around.
Like it was some funk band, and it might have been like Parliament, like that did American Bandstand, and it's so funny because there's like 18 guys in the band and no one's playing.
How about that? Do you see the time on American Bandstand?
No, I have not.
Yes, Jesse Johnson's like wearing a peach like suit, and Dick Clark has to go out and interview Morris Day. It's really funny.
It just, if you want to feel old, just know that we were alive when in the morning American Bandstand would be on, and it was a host hosted by the eternal teenager that was like 70. With bands pretending to play, and then the bands pretending to play, and people just dancing around.
Yeah.
I had a friend over, this person over the other night, and I was showing them, we watched an episode of The Detroiters, and I showed them the new dance show. Do you remember that, Hardy? The new dance show?
No.
Did you get... Oh, the new dance show was the Detroit version of American Bandstand. Vastly different ethnicity than the average African. It was entirely black. There would sometimes be like a funky white guy that would be robotic. But what they did, new dance show, they go, everybody, welcome to the new dance show. And then it would be a line of people clapping. And then someone would come down the line, and the ladies would shake everything. And then the guys would come down and you would walk towards the camera dancing. And then they would have, you can watch it on YouTube with commercials. If you ever watch the show to the Detroiters, the Tim Robinson show, a lot of the ads on that show are based on real Detroit ads that ran during the new dance show. A lot of stores for hats and not baseball caps. Stacey Adams shoes and hats. Like if you were in the right section of Detroit, and these were no like little pop-ups. These were warehouse stores of hats.
What's that?
Black people shoes from the
Adams? Yeah.
I don't know. Like, yeah, like the shoes that like black people wore. I don't know.
Well, I think I wanted some. I think we got the knockoffs.
Yeah, Stacey Adams. I mean, this was what the ads were.
This up now.
It might as well have been another planet. They were for places I never had been. Like they were just. It's not like I went, oh, that's the hat store that I walk by every day. I mean, they were places in East Detroit.
Well, there were stores you would go to if you wanted like parachute pants. You had to go to Man Oh Man. But if you didn't if you didn't fit into men's clothing, you had to go to Boy Oh Boy.
Ah,
which was Smaller person version of the parachute pants store that was Man Oh Man.
See, we had Brody's that had a very prominent Husky section for the fat kids. And it said Husky, and so if you were in that section of Brody's, you were the fat kid.
Yeah.
They had that for you. It was it was not nice to the fat kids, that whole scenario. But yeah, if you ever get a chance, YouTube New Dance Show Detroit with commercials, because I was showing the person and having a lot of fun.
Okay.
And Slum Village, they were the recording studio where Jay Dilla, who did Donuts, he's considered one of the world's great producers, took hip hop to an entirely different level. He's in museums and stuff. Jay Dilla, but his studio with Slum Village, his group is featured a lot in those commercials. Come record at this studio, and it was Jay Dilla's studio. Fascinating Detroit history. You should really look into it.
Thank you.
You guys didn't have a local dance show?
No, I can't. No,
we had community auditions, but that was a different
Sunday morning
animal.
with Dave Maynard and
there was one.
Well, this was every day.
Stupid Petrick.
Well,
type
American
stuff.
Bandstand came out of Philadelphia, so that was a Philadelphia show, and most big cities had a everyday dance show that was on TV. You guys
there
didn't
was
have
one.
it?
It was either before our time or I don't remember it.
The community auditions is kind of like local Star Search type stuff.
Yeah, that was
wasn't-
fantastic.
No, in its own way, but it
Yeah.
isn't anything like what Fred's talking about.
No.
Oh, yeah, because this was, when local TV, you obviously, I know that Boston had the Fright Night guy, you had a guy that introduced movies, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you remember the one in Detroit, Hardy?
No.
Dana Hersey.
Yep. Movie Loft.
Dana Hersey, Movie Loft.
You don't remember though the guy that did on Channel 50 the horror movies?
Yes. He dressed up like a Vincent Price type of character.
Yeah. Well, Sonny Elliott was the local weather guy, and my friend did a documentary called Meet Me at Something. It's about this sports bar in Detroit, and Sonny Elliott ran with Mickey Mantle and those guys.
Whoa.
Yeah, they would Andre the Giant. Wow. Back then, if you were on TV, you were a real star. Late 70s, early 80s, you were a really something in town.
So the guy you're talking about, Ron Swede, he had a character called the Ghoul.
Yeah.
Sir Graves Ghastly.
Yeah. There you go.
Okay.
Yes.
But it would be a big deal. If Bill Bonds, who was the $1 million anchor, if he was at a Pistons game, he'd be all drunk at Piston games. He was an alcoholic. He recovered. But he would be you would go, oh my God, Bill Bonds. They'd be courtside like celebrities.
Yeah. Local TV around here in the 80s was big.
Yeah.
People like Chet and Natalie and Jack Williams and Lobel, who you guys have both know.
Yeah.
Lobel, when he was anywhere, it was a big deal in the 80s. Yes.
Was Anchorman based on Bill Bonds or Mort Krim?
One or the other.
Yeah.
And the Simpsons anchor is apparently based on Bill Bonds or Mort Krim.
Yeah.
Mort Krim's in an episode of The Detroiters, too. That's when these were
But
big
that was,
stars.
I mean, and I'm sure it was the same thing here. If you were to go to the mall and see, one of the, weather people from the news,
sure,
in a store, that was a legit celebrity sighting.
Significant event, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
None of them lived in my neighborhood. They lived in maybe a neighborhood above mine. They were not Farmington Hills. They would probably be West Bloom, not even West Bloomfield. They'd probably be Birmingham or that area. But yeah, I do miss that day of the local celebrity. That is long gone. But I was at a movie and Steve Burton was there, and it was one of those showcase cinemas with 90 seats. And as soon as the movie was over, the entire crowd engulfed Steve Burton.
Burton is the man wherever he goes. It's true.
Yeah, it was.
Burton, one of those guys that pulls up at Terminal A at Logan and parks illegally, and the cops don't worry, I'll watch the car for you as he walks in.
Yeah, he was.
When are you gonna be back Monday?
That's right.
Don't worry about it. I got
Mr.
it.
Burton.
And I was with
Burton. Yeah.
I was with my daughter, and my daughter was like, "Why is no one coming up to you?" And I said, "Because I'm nothing. This has never happened to me before."
We were doing prom pictures last night. Again, different prom, and standing on the bridge that goes over the swan boats there, right? So this was Boston Latin's prom last night. And my daughter was going with a kid who goes to Latin, and our friend Jen Nawada, who is on Ask This Old House, she's there, her kid's there, we're all friends, and two people came up to Jen. It's like, oh, I love your show, and I'm sitting there thinking, oh, that's all right. As I'm walking back to Back Bay by myself, Marcy and her friend, they're going to go out to dinner, and I saw a couple of other old dads from the neighborhood. We knew a lot of the kids who go to Latin because our kids went to school in West Roxbury for years. I'm walking back. I'm totally alone now. I've left the group.
You get to take the train home.
I get to take the train home. And walking down Boylston Street, someone goes, "Honey, I go get him." I'm like,
there you go.
Could you come back with me to the bridge? It's like a 10-minute walk, and that way some of these other people will see me get recognized, and that would be awesome.
Yeah, the celebrity, because this show's like a pretty solid number one show in a different era. I'm sure it would be a much bigger deal, but we have the kind of people recognize us. Like if there's like 200 people, like there's a chance one guy might know who you are, and it's always a guy.
Sounds right.
It's a chance.
Like if there's 200 people at an event, or like let's even say like 1,000, like at the block party show, like I know, like if I take a female like to a public event, I'm pretty confident like 2 guys will come up to me. But it's much different than Steve Burton, who had literally, I couldn't get out of the movie theater. I felt obligated to say hello to him.
Dude,
I don't even know if he knows who I am.
Walk down the street with Zolak.
No, I know. He's a whole situation.
That's different.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Zolak,
that's different.
Zolak played for the Patriots.
You go to, I know it's still in New England, but I've been at Foxwoods and Mohegan with him, and he can't walk 50 feet down the corridor of a casino without someone, yelling his name or stopping to talk to him. It's everywhere.
Well, I guess that's how it was for Matty Siegel, because I've talked to Matty, and he's like in Florida now, and it's like no one recognizes me. So, and he's like,
bummer.
He's like, when you're off the radio, no one recognizes you, and I'm like, no one recognizes me now. I'm like, we lived vastly different lives, Matty.
Yeah.
Like, if your life had a lot of people paying attention to you, and you were getting things from them, we live vastly different existences, and it's not going to get any different. I've been here for almost 20 years. It is what it is at this point. I can't get any more popular here than I already am.
But that goes back to it.
Yeah, so I've
70s and 80s, things are much
Michigash,
different.
Michigash.
There you go.
Be Real said you did have your own show. It's called Your Mother's on the Roof, hosted by Chachi. Chachi LaPrette. Your mother's on the roof. That was an insult they used to use in Michigan.
In Korean, chachi means penis.
2.5 minutes of unadulterated riffing.
I dream of Tony Bennett naked.
You should have seen it. Laquadera only played 12 songs an hour. He had to talk for 90 seconds an hour. And he had characters. Oh, did he have characters? They all had the same voice.
The Beatles suck.
There would be little hints. That was where the genius lied. It would be slightly more nasally.
This guy, the after duty, come on, say "lick me," and everybody loved it. It broke bad for him, but for a time, everybody loved it. He'd say "lick me," and let me tell you, you guys have nothing.
Yeah,
that was always the undercurrent. It wasn't just propping up Laquadera and everyone else. It was you guys stink.
Yeah, this whole business is falling apart. And you're at the front of the Titanic, peeping.
You guys suck.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't seen Rick Ocasek in this building for 15 years. Rick Ocasek used to sleep in Oedipus's office. We used this as an apartment while they were making the second album.
You know the great story about John Belushi just stopping into the BCN studios one night? Have you ever listened to any of the tape of that?
It's horrendous. You can't even hear it.
Unlistenable.
It's unlistenable. But, well, the thing
was great. Belushi came in, they took over, they riffed.
So the thing in the 70s was to sound completely disinterested, like FM radio in any market. The idea was to almost, you were either super hyper, but FM radio was the opposite of that. You were like super mellow. Like you were almost supposed to sound stoned. So there's this famous time where John Belushi, like right around like Animal House, like after Animal House, like when he was like at a big height of his fame, just stop by. It's super cool, right? Like, this is amazing. Like, he's in Boston. When you're in Boston, you stop by BCN. It spoke volumes in all seriousness about how popular BCN is. But it's like, who can sound more disinterested and more stoned? Like, that's kind of like how FM radio was back then. So I suppose when someone was doing a lame character, it was like out of control because they were trying, and that was the antithesis. I know that's why Stern was so revolutionary, is because he like was trying and like talking in a normal voice.
Well, and if you listen to like early Howard, they all sound like they're on coke.
Well, no, listen to the day John. We're such dorks, and no one cares. But the day John Lennon died, they have Stern on Detroit radio. Listen to it. It sounds like him now, like not him 5 years ago, like him now. So like he's taking it very seriously. Obviously, John Lennon has just died, but it's fascinating to listen to because he's alone in a studio and he sounds very human, and like very alone at a station no one's listening to. It's fascinating because he's the greatest who ever did it. But it's like him, like in single A ball. It's really interesting. You might not be able to get through it because it's super boring.
Yeah.
But just the first like 2 minutes hearing him at that stage in his career is very interesting. All right, well, there you go. That was incredibly nerdy stuff that no one probably cared about. But oh boy, did it bring back the glory days. All
Say
right.
lick me. Try it. You can't even do it right.
Is how it would come out.
Peeping.
And by the way, that's been copyrighted.
They made
and was traded in prison as currency. All right, we'll be back in just a moment.
More Toucher and Hardy on the way on the Sports Hub.
At the Travelers Championship, you know.
boots and a cape.
And Hardy with blunt honesty.
I am not known as Mr. Fun.
Toucher and Hardy continues on the Sports Hub.
You know, I got an idea for a bit. The email bit. We should do the email bit. It's a great idea. Let's do the email bit.
Hey, Toucher and Hardy, if you want to email us, go to 985thesportshub.com and you can find our email addresses. You can follow us on Instagram. Nick has put 2 videos up from today at Toucher and Hardy. And you can follow me on Instagram at Fred Toucher. And we're building a lot of momentum at Fred Toucher Enterprises. We're on the cusp of monetizing this thing for big bucks. So,
congrats.
Yeah. Well, you're also going to be snoring. I'm outside making peripheral income on this thing. No,
Sure.
I haven't made any money. This is from Mark. Isn't Mellencamp a total fraud? We were playing the feud between Pat McAfee and John Mellencamp. He said, didn't he grow up with a silver spoon, a wealthy family, yet he sings about being a regular poor person anyways? I hate him. I do like the parody someone did where the only line they sang was, suck it on chitty dogs. That's from Chopper. Is that true? Is he of a false upbringings like
No
some
idea.
rappers?
No idea.
Is he like Rick Ross, who was a prison guard and has been called out for that in his real life?
Kid
Ooh.
Rock.
Kid Rock's a good one. Kid Rock, I fell for. I think it was
Total fraud.
I think, Fred, you were the one who clued me into that. I didn't know that his dad owned the multiple car dealerships.
I know he owned one big one, and he grew up around 36 Mile, which there's a grid system in that state outside of Detroit where every physical mile is a different mile marker. 8 Mile is where Detroit started. I grew up between 12 and 13 Mile. Kid Rock grew up on 36 Mile. Therefore, I was many, many miles better than him. You understand? I
Sure.
was much closer to the urban
To the
areas,
action.
to the
Right,
action than he
right.
was. Yeah, like what is 36 minus 12? It's several. Let's just say that several miles closer. A marathon, really. And he. It's not even the rapping that he was fronting. It was as I'm 100 years old and use that term. He was. It's more this American, hick guy persona that he's put on. That is not the case at all. That is not the case. No. He had a pretty big safety net. Let's put it that way.
I'm being told via Twitter that on Dan Levitard this morning, they reported that Pablo is going to go on the Bill Simmons podcast.
Oh.
No.
There you go.
Okay.
Well, if I'm Pablo, I'm playing it the other way. I want you on my podcast, but maybe now is it going to be live?
Who knows?
If it's not live, then it's not. That's not great because it can be edited. See, it has to be live. It has to be a live interview, or will they both be taping for podcasts? That's what you need.
Oh yeah, you need the dual.
Like we're going on each other's shows. Therefore,
Yeah.
if it's taped, at least you know that there is a accurate record from one of them. Or if you put the two together, you get an accurate record.
So this Bill Simmons movie podcast, I got one message from Jeff saying it's actually a good podcast. Bill Simmons is the worst part of it. They have some pretty interesting discussions about the movies. And then another email.
I never said it was a bad podcast at all. I just said that Bill Simmons made the point that Pablo Torre was spending too much time on something frivolous.
It's a little hypocritical.
And meanwhile, he was talking about Heaven Can Wait. I didn't say it wasn't good. It might be the funniest thing of all time. It's just while you're on a podcast talking about Heaven Can Wait, talking about the validity of other topics seems absurd. You have to have some self-awareness of what you're doing at the time.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's
Like you're throwing a big rock at a very large class house at that point. I didn't say the podcast was bad at all. I didn't even say it's a bad idea. I just didn't know if you sync up the podcast with the movie or if you're supposed to watch the movie and then listen to the podcast. Because I think we'd all need a refresher on Heaven Can Wait at the least. Like, I don't know if that comes. Hardy seemed to know the plot dead on.
I've watched it recently.
Really?
Yeah,
You have?
in the last couple months. Yeah.
Why?
It's a good movie.
Well, did you seek it out or did you just run into it?
I like watching things that are on. I rarely seek something out. So if even stuff that I don't like, Serpico, for some reason, has been on a ton over the last couple of months. So I've watched maybe 50. I'll watch as much as I can take. I still that is a hill I'm willing to die on. Bad movie, not good.
Court scene at the end doesn't get you.
Well, Serpico's great because of it's so ripe for parody. Like
Yes.
Always Sunny did a great Charlie episode where they lampoon that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Serpico leaves itself open for ridicule. There's no question about it.
But no, there's actual good moments in that Heaven Can Wait movie.
Did you ever see the Al Pacino movie where it's based on a undercover cop that goes into the gay subculture of New York?
Scarface?
No, no, that's just How to Be a Great Businessman. If you ignore the last half hour of it,
Sea of Love, Ellen Barkin, is that it?
No, I know the one you're talking about. I feel like you and I talked about this a couple of weeks ago. Maybe we were texting about it or something.
And I only know this because it was a YouTube thing. There is it's a very funny takedown of this movie. It's this very serious Al Pacino movie about a cop that goes undercover. It's
Cruising.
Yeah.
From 1980. Paul Sorvino's in it, Karen Allen's in it.
So,
yeah.
spoiler alert, I'm going to tell you what happens at the end. It's hysterical.
Okay.
So, you know the girl that was dating on Animal House, the girl that sleeps with the professor?
Karen Allen.
Yeah, Karen Allen. She's Al Pacino's love interest in this movie. And as the movie goes on, there is this subtext that he is turning into one of the guys he's investigating. There's been a mass murder in the sadomasochistic gay community of New York.
Okay.
So she starts finding this rough trade like clothes around. And at the end of the movie, it's this shot of him shaving and staring at the mirror. And you were led to believe, is it saying he's gay? He's a killer, or we're all gay? Like, it's this really, it's supposed to be super arty, but it's so obtuse. You don't wait a second. Like, he's not the murderer. Is it that he's gay or that we're all gay? Like, what's going on at the end?
The subtext, too, remember, he's shaving the beard. And the whole subtext of the beard being it protects you, right? And she's putting on the leather gear in the background. So it's this whole
Yeah. Okay, so there's more to it. Right. He's literally shaving his beard off.
Very symbolic.
Is at the end, he's gay? Is that the plot twist? Because it doesn't make a lot of sense. It's a very odd film for him to choose to do. That's what's interesting about it, is that this is, Pacino's got The Godfather under his belt, Dog Day Afternoon under his belt. Pacino's working with house money at this time. And he picks up the Cruising script, and he's like, let's do this. The end is so pretentious, it's hysterical. He's shaving a beard while she tries on a leather rough trade cap.
She puts the aviator glasses on, too, to really...
Yeah, I've never seen the movie. I've just seen a half an hour synopsis of it. It's pretty good. Cruising.
The plot synopsis. Police suspect the killings to be the work of a serial killer who is picking up gay men at West Village bars, such as Eagle's Nest, the Ramrod, and the Cockpit.
Ramrod's a real bar. I know that from a Howard Stern song. Go ahead.
And the Cockpit, which is
I get it.
Clever.
On the nose, but sure.
I like that. The guy directed The French Connection and The Exorcist.
Yeah, so this is a real
movie.
a real bunch of talent. A great collection. Karen Allen's a great actress. This is a real collection of talent. And it's just an awful concept. Everything about it is terrible.
Mary Lou Retton is missing, apparently.
Oh, no.
I received
she's under something.
Multiple emails about this. This from Stephen. Hardy, time to take off your Titleist hat and put on your detective hat. Your girl Mary Lou was arrested for a DUI and is now missing. Now, not many reputable or I would say lamestream media sources reported on this. More like the Daily Mail and the Irish Mail and these things that, are the first to jump on these stories and oftentimes end up being correct with a lot of this stuff. But they're saying, not a lot of contact with the family recently. And apparently where she was living, the place has a deserted look and feel to it, and no one has seemed to have been in contact.
This reeks of a Richard Simmons situation where he's quote unquote missing, and then you go through a whole podcast, and at the end it's just oh no, he's just at home.
Well, apparently the Porsche that she was driving, she had a screw top bottle of wine in the car with her.
Yeah, well, I mean, she's of royalty.
Well,
as most in the screw top bar. Even though it's becoming more, as I stopped drinking, it was becoming more and more common.
And again, it's in West Virginia. Do they even have corked wine in West? I know they have corked jugs of moonshine.
Well, can you even go missing in West Virginia? Is that possible? Aren't you already missing once you cross state lines?
Yeah.
Initially alerted to the police were initially alerted because the Porsche was driving all over the roadway before officers found her car in a nearby AutoZone parking lot in the city of Fairmont.
Well, it was a Porsche in West Virginia. I mean, you might as well paint yourself blue and ran around like a Smurf. I mean, you're standing out.
She refused the blood alcohol test, performed 3 field sobriety tests, showed she was impaired. And, then it goes back to the diagnosis of the rare form of pneumonia that for some reason they needed a GoFundMe for, and there's still a lot of questions about that.
It's just so interesting that Mary Lou Retton getting a fairly minor charge against her has, we all read about it. Like, it was all put in front of us.
Gold medalist, America's sweetheart.
But in 1984...
So,
41 years ago.
You're immortalized.
But it's not like she murdered someone. She got a DUI. It's not great, and it's probably a little embarrassing, but it seems like a lot of hubbubaloo about a gymnast from 41 years ago getting some kind of minor charge.
Johnny Ballgame said it. America's sweetheart.
America's sweetheart.
It's a story.
Yeah.
Well, there's been a lot of America's sweethearts. Peggy Fleming. I mean, if you want to run down every Olympics kind of has America's sweetheart. The girl with the broken foot.
Carrie Strug.
We've been to this dance before. Nancy Kerrigan, she gets a DUI. Are we talking about her?
Sure.
She got kneecapped by some lady.
Around here, we're absolutely talking about Nancy Kerrigan if that happened.
Family members in Fairmont, West Virginia, claim they have not heard from Retton, according to the Daily Mail, along with not hearing.
Well, maybe you should be nicer to her.
Along with not hearing from the Olympic gymnast for almost a month, it is also reported that the Texas house she lives in has seemingly been deserted. Packages and other mail items have been left around the property untouched. Nearby neighbors added that the former Olympic star has not been seen anywhere on the premises in recent weeks, fueling speculation on Retton's whereabouts. Maybe she's off in one of your joints there, Fred. Maybe she went to the booby hatch for a little while.
I'll check in with my people to see.
Check in with your sources at the Puzzle Factory.
Yeah.
See if she checked in.
Yeah, we'll see what's happening. I'll see how butterfly net sales were going around that part of the world at that time. White coats and butterfly nets.
White jumpsuits, yeah.
And butterfly nets. All right, we will be back and we will end this whole show. It will come to a complete stop after this. Here are the headlines.
Essential Sports Hub headline presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Mike Trout had 3 hits, including a 3-run homer. Joe Adell added a pair of solo shots. The Angels beat the Red Sox 7-6 at Fenway Park. Red Sox are down.
Sports Hub.
You know, I got an idea for a bit. The email bit. We should do the email bit. It's a great idea. Let's do the email bit.
That is not right.
Come on, Adam.
You know what? I'm so in the zone, I didn't even notice it.
We know what you're thinking. What could I possibly
Not like
have
it's
missed from the
sponsored.
show?
Thank you.
It's time for The Stack on Toucher and Hardy.
And the stack is basically just Michigas.
Yeah.
All right, let's land this sumbitch. What's going on, Hardy?
New Dropkick Murphys album, For the People. They had 2 albums in 22 and 23. For the People is coming out on the 4th of July. This one, according to Stereo Gum, comes with some urgent messages about working class solidarity, something that's important as it's ever been. And he recently took part in Ken Casey recently took part in a humanitarian trip to the Ukraine. He recently spoke to local Boston News Live via satellite, saying the Dropkick Murphys have never played in Ukraine. He wanted to let the country know that he supports them. Also, the Ukrainian people are wicked friendly. How about that?
How about that?
Well, you're in the Dropkick Murphys. The red carpet is put out for you wherever you may go.
I have a friend who still, whenever Dropkicks are playing in his area of Ohio where he lives, he calls me. He's like, hey, any chance that you can make tickets for the show? I'm like, yeah, I haven't talked to Ken in 2 years, but absolutely. I'll send him a text to see if he can put your name on the guest list for tonight. No, go buy your tickets.
My son was the ring bearer at Tim Brennan's wedding. Multi-instrumentalist for the Dropkick Murphys. Many, many years ago.
And then what happened? Is he mad at you?
I asked him if he was mad at me. He said he wasn't, but he doesn't talk to me anymore.
You guys collaborated on a song together.
18 and change.
Yeah.
18 and change. Hardy
Written
didn't
in
like
Tim's
it.
living room, if I remember
I
correctly.
didn't like the fact that you had the lyrics on a loose leaf sheet of paper in front of you.
How was I supposed to remember them?
You wrote the song.
Yeah, the night before. I don't know. I mean, when people are in the studio, they hold their phones in front of them reading the lyrics.
You're like Axl Rose. You need a teleprompter to tell you your own lyrics.
I'm like Janine Garofalo, just riffing and putting my notes on a stool next to me. Wanted me to memorize this song like I was. Jesus Christ!
You wrote it.
It's a 1.5 minute long song. I'm not. It was a very minor part of the show.
Exactly. Okay, but you're not helping your case. It was a minute and a half.
I wrote it the night before. I wrote it with Tim the night before. I didn't memorize it. I figured once the song was written, that was it. I wasn't going to memorize it.
I thought it was so heartfelt and such a piece of you that it would almost come out of you, almost like divinely.
The joke of the whole matter was that it was a ludicrous idea for a song that I had brought up, and then it wasn't that it was even supposed to be good. It was just supposed to be the idea that it was done, that there was actually a song. It was played once, and it was more of an art installation than anything else. You know? It was to be played
It's
once.
like a sculpture on the common.
No, it's like an edible art or something. You know, it's something that exists and then it's gone.
Right, you can't stare at it for
Banana
long periods
duct
of
taped
time.
to the wall.
No, 'cause-
Look, Tim's a talented guy. We didn't sit there for 5 hours putting this thing together. It was Tim was pretty businesslike about putting it together. But he didn't talk to me anymore. I don't know. I must have done something.
Jonathan Joss, voice actor, best known for his work on the animated TV series King of the Hill, fatally shot near his Texas home, authorities said yesterday.
Now, if you need to know who he is, if you watch Parks and Rec, he was the Native American guy that would do business with Leslie Knope. He was a great character on Parks and Rec, and that's a great character on King of the Hill. If you haven't gone back and they're redoing it. Well, now 2 guys are dead. 2 of the voices are dead, so I don't know how that's going to work out. But if you want to and go back and watch King of the Hill in its totality, you probably don't remember how good it was, including the Peggy where she was unwittingly a foot fetish model. where everything about foot fetishes come out, and Hank has to lightly explain to her how she's being used for the size of her feet, and has to talk about the acts that she does, like, Peggy, you're standing in garbage.
Open toe feet.
Yeah.
Are they? Did she have big feet or little
Big feet.
Oh.
So a running thing through the show is she can't find shoes because her feet are so huge. So, and a lot of the plot is Peggy not realizing she thinks she's a lot smarter than she is, and she's being taken advantage of without knowing it. There's a great one where she thinks she's a great artist, and then she goes to the art show and sees who the other artists are, and it's people with challenges.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So the officers attempted life-saving measures. Joss's husband, Tristan Kern de Gonzalez, confirmed the actor's death to the Associated Press in a text.
Yeah.
So there's no other information on what prompted the shooting or who shot him.
Well, in the two things, I guess we can go on to mourn the death. Mourn the death of this man who was tragically murdered in a hate crime. And with that, we will leave you for the day. Enjoy your